known people that have just taken a bite out of raw ramen. It's like a block.
Do they at least sprinkle the powder over it first?
Oh my god, that sounds so bad.
That's way worse than just biting into it.
Saliva will make it melt.
God,
Have you ever
snort the powder?
Touched a little bit of that powder to your tongue? It's so concentrated.
It's just pure salt.
I don't think
so
Stephen
bad.
Reed would even go that length, man. I mean, well, he's got to at least cook it up somehow. But anyway, welcome to the Roundtable Podcast. How's it going? I'm BaerTaffy.
We're on our way there.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the episode for April 17th, 2015. Joined by RockLeeSmile, Rocklee Hardly Smile, Rock Hardly Smile. That's
Rock
better.
hard.
MathasGames is here.
Hi, I'm here.
Still? What's wrong with you guys?
I say that I'm like, I'm still here. Fuck.
And Northernlion.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
YouTube.com/Northernlion.
We're not going to plug you here, man.
Too late.
Thank you again for joining us. It's episode 6, which is divisible by both 2 and 3, which were, in respective order, my favorite episodes of the podcast thus far.
Wow.
We have got some really cool stuff to talk about today, including the new YouTube policies that we are solely responsible for. You're welcome.
We called it.
Yep. Also got a few games on the docket. We've got Titan Souls just released the day that we're recording this, actually, on April 14th. Oh, look at you with your shirt and everything.
Look at Mr. Impartial over here.
Yeah. I'm sure he's going to have a raving review.
Yet.
That's true, yeah. Of all the people to be wearing the shirt, the one that kind of got, boned on the side of review code for it, for being totally transparent. But, and then we've got Mortal Kombat X. Yeah, we're all sellouts here. Mortal Kombat X, what's the other one? GTA 5, that's the other one, forget about that.
Well, if we're going to say Mortal Kombat X, it might as well be GTA V.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. And
hey,
GTA's come out so many times now, it's hard to remember that it comes out
People say X, no one says V. No one pronounces the Roman numeral V. Everyone knows.
I thought it was called MTax. Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
No, not really.
Mortal Kombat and Savior.
Oh, nice.
Also, some news on the front of music genres. Guitar Hero Live, I think, is the one that's coming along the way. So we're going to be discussing the two, I guess the two big ones. It feels like it's 2008 again. We've got two massive music games launching to compete with each other.
It feels like Activision is being kind of a dick.
Yeah, it really does.
Coming back. Fuck them.
we can talk about that.
Come on now.
I kind of want to talk about that first, actually, now that we've gotten into that. We also got Hearthstone Mobile is out, by the way, for those of you who are on iOS and Android devices.
I can go and play more Hearthstone on my phone?
You can.
Shit, I won't do
Going
it.
on your phone.
I'm really bad at Hearthstone.
I'm terrible at Hearthstone, too.
I'm mad about how bad I am at Hearthstone. It infuriates me.
I don't like the competitive meta of Hearthstone because there's no place for players like me who don't know the mechanics. And that's probably a good thing, but there's some games where you can be like, you just have natural talent, or you just have heart or some kind of intangible. In Hearthstone, it's seriously like, this is the math, and here's the cards that synergize with one another, and these ones are better, and these ones are worse, and if you don't know that, you're going to suck real bad, and so I do.
And so I don't touch the game.
I'd really like for there to be, I'm sure this has been mentioned before, I am very late to the road of, discussing changes to be made to Hearthstone, but I really wish there were something like a division of players that have spent any money at all whatsoever on the game and those that have not, because I feel like I go into the hopper and every other game is either playing against my 5-year-old nephew or playing against someone that's spent $600 on, the Grandmaster's deck. It's
there's a professional player who did really well in the most recent tournament who hasn't spent a penny on the game.
Really?
And all the cards he's gotten have been just from free-to-play stuff.
Wow, that's impressive.
So it's possible.
Huh. I was going to say they would probably encourage you, right, to spend some money and get in that other pool. Right?
Yeah.
So, that's kind of how they would rather it went.
Well, that just confirms for me even further that I'm really just ass at the game. I'm really so bad.
Does Hearthstone have unranked matches?
Yeah, they do. So they've got an unranked and a ranked topper, and then they've got the arena, which is the big selling point. But of course, you have to.
If you don't play ranked, you're just a scrub anyway. So
okay, yeah, I mean that's true.
My problem with the Hearthstone matchmaking, it's a great game, by the way. It just frustrated the shit out of me, which is not Blizzard's fault. Sort of, but it's my fault mostly. Is what I'm getting at. But like, I would play Arena, and I really liked Arena because you would match up with people that had roughly the same record as you in Arena. The thing that sucks is that you only got one entry a day, and every entry after that was like 250, something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while. But then they'd be like, "Well, if you don't want to play Arena because Arena's too hardcore, just go play player matches or the non-arena matches." But there, everybody's got their super like min-maxed try-hard decks that they bring out that they just read about on the subreddit, and they just smoke you the whole time. So I was like, oh man, this is like, I had to make a commitment to that game too early, and I got spooked and ran away.
I don't even think it's a free arena run a day. You got one free arena run when you started the game, and then everything else is paid.
Every day you got a daily quest. And then after like 4 or 5 days, they added up to an arena.
Enough to like throw gold at it to go to the arena. I recently played the arena like I want to say a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try it out and maybe I'll be smart enough to build a deck out of cards, and I just got crushed. I think I won one game.
I think I've played like 4 total arena runs. The most wins I've gotten is 1. It's real sad, man. For those of you who may not be familiar with Hearthstone, don't become familiar with Hearthstone because it's either going to absorb your entire life or
make you hate life.
Yeah, it'll make you more like me, and you don't want that. Yeah, Hearthstone Mobile. It's been out on tablet devices already for a little while, and it's now coming supposedly to the Android and iOS phones as well.
You could always just put up a deck builder wiki and follow those guides.
I don't feel like I'm cheating myself out of the whole experience, man. Like that would be so. Like I play Magic the Gathering, of course, and I love Magic because half of the game is getting cards just from packs and just from like trading with your pals and stuff like that.
Literally from packs, also.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what I meant. Like actual, like
from
PAX
East and
from PAX, right? Yeah.
Got it. There we
Hey,
go.
this guy, RockLeeSmile. Oh man,
tricked him.
It's I feel like that's half the fun is just making your own stuff and seeing what cool strategies work. But then, like you said, like you do that and you go up against somebody who's just spamming well met from his paladin deck, and
That's when you squelch them. That's when you just squelch them.
I feel like if you're playing Hearthstone, you're like, I'm playing a video game. But if you take that next step and you build your deck based off of like the min-max decks on a wiki or something like that, you should have to look in the mirror and confront yourself, because what you were building is like a neurotransmitting emitter. You're basically like, I'm gonna build my good feelings. This is gonna be responsible for all of the joy that I get today. And there's something that's very, very sad about that, I think. But it's just not to say that it's sad to min-max in games, but you're like, I'm tired of feeling bad. I'm going to make myself feel good by building a happy deck. And you're like,
because you expect to win when you do that. You're not going into it anymore thinking like, oh man, I hope this works. This will be fun to try. It's like, someone else told me this would work, and god damn it if it doesn't.
It better work!
But anyway, Hearthstone's shitty. Let's talk about something else.
Back to Guitar Hero Rock Band.
Yeah, let's talk about Guitar Hero Rock Band. So, no, so I share the sentiment that Ryan hinted at a little earlier. Activision's kind of taking a big old dump on harmonics here.
So, Guitar Hero Live is a first-person Rockstar simulator coming this fall, announced today by Activision. It will be coming to consoles and mobile. The $99 box will get you the guitar controller and the platform-specific game. It's the first Guitar Hero title in over 5 years and will once again compete with Harmonix Rock Band. That's pretty much, like, I don't want to take Harmonix side because their games were better, and they were also okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I really do.
They were the first to announce this year, but it really feels like, you know, Harmonix waited like 5 years to make a new Rock Band, and Activision's like, well, okay, Harmonix is doing it, so it's our time to get back in it as well.
But it's coming out in the fall, though, so it's not like they just all of a sudden figured this out.
I
Like,
kind
in a
of
couple
wonder
months.
if that's what the case is, though, right? Like,
Really?
how long has this been in development? They announced this, and today, like the day we're recording this, today is the day we got the announcement. April 14th, Best Buy Theater in New York City is when they're having like a release party with Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy. Like,
Thank God.
that's a
Love
big...
Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, I know. He's a beautiful man. That's a big deal. It's like they're... I can't imagine this hasn't been in planning for a long time, or I just severely underestimate how much advance notice Pete Wentz needs of events. Maybe he's just sitting around waiting for Activision to pick up the red phone and say, hey, need you at Best Buy Theater tonight,
Your
6
career's
o'clock.
not on hold anymore. Go.
There's a couple of different ways you can look at it, because they are coming out with a mobile version that's right alongside the release, and it says the mobile version will be as full-featured as the console counterparts. And that strikes me as potentially, like, if you flip those words, the console version will be as full-featured as the mobile version. Like, the sentence means
That's
the
how I
same.
hear it.
That sounds so bad.
That's the Gar's thing, man.
The game is going to be super basic and easy to play.
Oh,
Maybe.
it's going to be just as good as the MOBA version on
Thank
console.
God.
The MOBA version.
The
MOBA
MOBA version.
MOBA Guitar
Oh,
Hero?
Guitar Hero
Holy
MOBA.
shit. That'd be
I'm
great.
going mid lane. I'm only hitting the yellow button. Is that in the middle?
That's great Guitar Hero humor, man. I like it.
I will say I sympathize with Activision a little bit, because the narrative around those games not existing for 5 years was basically like they came out with too many of them. But now it's like somebody else announces first. Whoever announces second is like, well, you're making the same thing happen exactly over
Yeah.
again.
Yay.
But they do have the only property that can really compete with Rock Band, and the only property that can really benefit from Rock Band also like recreating a market for this kind of stuff. And maybe it'll just be better than Rock Band 4. Like, I can't give Harmonix a totally free pass, but definitely it's like it's easy to be cynical about. You're like, we don't need. It's been 5 years. We don't need 2 rhythm games within 3 months of one another that both are going to require like the plastic instruments and clutter our attics
and
again.
different instruments.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
exactly.
'Cause
Well, is the Guitar Hero going to be only guitar, or is it going to be the whole band set again?
It seems like it's only going to be guitar.
So that'll separate them in that Rock Band's much more going to be a party game, while Guitar Hero... I think Guitar Hero is clearly a party game, but it's not going to be as collaborative as Rock Band is.
Yeah.
Not saying it's going to be any better, because I'm sick and tired of... Like, I don't want to flood the market again. But
just by virtue of the way they're constructing the guitars this time, seems like it's going to be 2 separate offerings. I mean, they've mentioned that it's going to be 2 rows of 3 buttons, which is pretty drastically different. I mean, it's an extra button, and it's different ways to hold your hand.
Yep.
So we'll see how that manifests. They've also mentioned this thing about this like endlessly streaming video thing that's going on. You can just like jump in and play along to some music videos that are going on some site.
Yeah, the Guitar Hero TV, I think is what they were going to call it.
So there's just like a place you can go in the game where there's just music that might not be in your game, and you could just play to it.
Right. Well, they released a 3-minute trailer that contained 12 whole seconds of actual gameplay footage.
Whoa.
But it's,
They got rid of the colors too, didn't
They
they?
spoiled the
yeah,
game.
well, I wonder, I mean, that might just be like tech demo footage.
Oh.
Were they 12 consecutive seconds or 12 non-consecutive seconds?
That's
like,
an important qualifier,
edited
isn't
Groups
it?
of
Yeah.
3 seconds chopped up.
There's a fucking clip in there. So like the whole selling point is the idea of like, okay, so we put you on, it's the first person viewpoint of you up on stage, and you're looking out to either the bar full of 25 people or the festival full of hundreds of thousands. But there was a guy, like, it gets on and he starts playing really terribly, and out in the crowd, they're starting to boo you, and so it's like, oh, you suck, oh, you're awful, get off the stage, we're gonna kill your family. And then there's a guy out there that holds up a sign that says, you suck.
So he brought that to the
He
show.
brought it to the fucking show, like, oh man,
What
if
a
they... I'm ready if things go down here. Who brings a sign that says, you suck to a
That guy,
festival?
clearly.
Planning on having a bad time when you went to
Yeah.
that concert. That's awful. Also, isn't the crowd CG?
I don't
yeah.
think so.
Wait, is
wait, what?
it real footage?
It
It's
looked
just
like real people to me, yeah.
So doesn't that mean you're just looking at the same clips of excited crowd or sad crowd every time?
Let's hope it's multiple different clips of each.
I want
That's
you
real
know,
shitty to
a
me.
crowd that's kind of indifferent, and then I want a crowd that's really blazed, like big out of their mind.
That's when you're playing the Pink Floyd music.
The Plink Floyd
The
music.
Plink
That's
Floyd.
my favorite band.
Pink Floyd.
Get some screen shots of that.
I will say, I think that without peeling back my cynicism entirely, I think there is a place for Guitar Hero potentially as either single player super casual or the other extreme, like single player score attack, like a high score type stuff. Because there are people that get into rhythm games like that, and we know them. And like that could be something that they're interested in. And Rock Band could occupy some of that niche, but still be just mostly like a party game that's fun for people to play together. I know you can play Rock Band at a high level as well, but kind of more of a time waster as opposed to like I'm going to get the highest score in this.
Right.
I could see that, and you can't really fully judge it until we see more of it. But it does really seem like the announcement is timed in such a way that you're like, oh, fuck off.
Well, so
This is really
here's
it,
another
yeah.
deciding factor for me. All of this shit, like the prior iterations, are not going to be compatible since we've got a new guitar construction.
Yeah.
Whereas Rock Band, as far as we know, is the same and will import all of my previous DLC, and I have a lot of it. So
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm kind of
only
siding with
puts it
Rock
on the
Band
same-
already.
It only puts it on the same console, which is kind of annoying.
Sorry, say that again?
The Rock Band music is only supposed to import on the same console brand.
Oh,
So if you're going
Oh.
from like Xbox 360 to
Oh.
PS4, it may not
that's
work.
exactly what I'm doing.
I think that's what a lot of people are doing.
Shit, that's bad.
Want to rescind a comment real quick?
Oh,
I do
no.
want to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt on Activision's side, actually. Apparently, this one, Guitar Hero Live, is being developed by Freestyle Games, the team responsible for DJ Hero and DJ Hero 2.
Ooh, I like those.
Which, yeah, I thought
did
those
like
were
them, too.
probably some of the most underrated games in the music genre. I think they had the unfortunate poison of coming out right about the time that Activision started to really oversaturate the market. Like, they were dropping a new Guitar Hero like every 6 months, it seemed
That's
like.
what I was
every
going to say.
band.
The
Yeah.
problem with DJ Hero, and I liked it a lot because it was a cool, new, unique way of doing
Yeah.
a rhythm game, was that it was at the tail end of just like way too many music games. You go into, I remember going into like GameStop and stuff and just having like seeing boxes upon boxes on
Yeah.
the floor of like Aerosmith and AC/DC and Rolling Stones and all these other versions that no one
Beatles.
needed. And the Beatles version.
Green Day.
That just
Beatles game
Yeah,
is
Green
good,
Day.
man.
I'm not saying it was bad.
No,
it was
no,
just one of the
I'm
many
exactly,
things.
yeah,
I
it was
like
a
it.
Quote, oh God, the Beatles one.
it's as in I forgot.
I
about
think
it.
they're saying that like from the perspective of somebody that had to sell the Beatles Rock Band as
That's-
opposed to somebody
exactly.
playing it.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's all it
But
is.
yeah, it was too much, and it sucks because DJ Hero was pretty cool. I liked it a lot.
DJ Hero was rad, man. I really think if that game came out in like 2013 or something like that, I feel like maybe that would be... Well, right now is probably the time that people are kind of ready to let it back in. It's like, you know, an old ex-girlfriend that they've been knocking on the door for years. Like, come on, remember how much fun we had? You brought the whole family over, and it was, you know, just put on a show. That's an interesting storyline.
Fall 2015, the return of DJ Hero. How's that? Let's bring that
I'm
in.
ready. I'm ready for
Well,
it.
I mean, Freestyle seems to be occupied with something else, but if somebody wants to try
That's
and
okay.
make it...
Just do
Put
it all.
Neversoft on it.
Oh,
So-
yeah, there you go.
Rock Band Metallica, also throw that in there.
Didn't that happen
That is
already?
sure?
I
thought
did
it did.
Guitar Hero Metallica.
Guitar
I
Hero
thought maybe
Metallica, yeah.
Switch
Mhm.
teams or something. I'm just constructing a narrative at this point.
I mean, when you think about it, for me, like when the last Rock Band came out, and between then and now, I've been an adult. I feel the same basically that I felt when Rock Band 3 came out. But if you're 16 now, or you're going to be 16 in fall 2015 or winter 2015, you were like 10 when Rock Band 3 came
Oh,
out,
you missed it all.
which means you were like freaking 7 when Rock Band 1 came out, and like 5 when Guitar Hero
God.
2 came
Oh,
out.
stop!
This is a whole
God,
new
you're so
generation
young.
finding out about Fallout Boy and My Chemical Romance
Oh, damn.
this fall.
Pete
Whole
Wentz
new
is going to the
generation.
Best Buy theater in New York, and all these kids are like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Where are you? But I love you.
My Chemical Romance, whatever, Grandpa.
That's how I feel right now.
Whole new generation of people that'll, Google Cherub Rock. Yo, this oldie's pretty good. But, like, You know, it is a completely new generation of people, and well, I mean, within the context of gaming, it's a completely new generation that was not really there to experience it before.
Yeah.
Maybe unless your dad bought you like the whole setup, or it could be your mom, or it could be both of your dads, or both of your moms, or maybe grandparents,
Weird
or
Uncle Bill.
at some point, or uncles and aunts.
Any relative, really. I mean, there's a number of them.
Or a family friend that could have happened.
Your boss, perhaps.
Second cousin.
I don't know if I support that. Anyway, so I can understand, like, maybe there's going to be a renewed market for it because maybe people aren't sick of it anymore. I mean, I wasn't even really sick of Rock Band 3 when there just seemed to be like a moratorium, like we're not going to make this shit anymore. But
I felt the same way. I wish more DLC kept coming out, and my guitars didn't break. I wanted more guitars.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's kind of funny how we went from stacks upon stacks of Guitar Hero games and peripherals to you're lucky to find a $45 Guitar Hero 2 controller in a pawn shop in downtown. Like,
yeah.
Those drum sets are upwards of $400 now on eBay.
That's nuts.
Just because they stopped making them. They're out of production, so they're such a valuable commodity these days.
I used to smash them all the time.
Just like after every song, you just couldn't contain yourself?
No, we had to field destroy all these broken freaking drum sets in the back room.
Oh my god, that
throw them in dumpsters.
Wow.
Yep. Man, I remember smashing the shit out of guitars in when a field destroyed.
Did you ever do a two-hander? One guitar in each hand, smash them both at the same
why
time?
do you have to destroy them? That just seems...
So GameStop has this policy, basically, so people can't take home free stuff.
No, they would take them out of the dumpster and sell them back for cash and then buy
something.
drugs.
Basically.
That's exactly what they would
well,
do.
at first it seemed like very big business. We're going to destroy this so nobody can get it unfairly.
The strategy guys are like that, though. Strategy guys we didn't take in trade-in, so they did it for that reason, to be big
Oh,
business.
that's fucked up.
Yeah. They had like a furnace for strategy guides in the back room of GameStop, right?
We had to rip them up, throw them in the dumpster.
I got the Skylanders pod.
I got the initial impression of like there was an Office Space Die Motherfuckers Die scene where you guys would bring out the Rock Band instruments to a barren field and start smashing the shit
barren
out.
field right in the back room.
Yeah,
You just had to sweep up the parts after you were done.
But it was fun.
That sounds like probably a highlight of the whole GameStop experience.
This is one of the better moments, I guess.
How much was like the original Rock Band 4 instrument pack was like $200 US, right? Somewhere in there, 150 maybe.
I want to say 150. I want to say 150.
I would pay $150 to $200 for a new Rock Band pack for sure.
It's just it takes up so much fucking space.
It is big.
I live in an apartment now, so I just can't play drums. But
yeah,
or I can play them on my table.
Yeah, that's always fun. When I think Rock Band parties, I think drums on a coffee table.
Yeah,
but
looks like the original price was like $149.99.
Yeah.
Almost 150. You were close, Nick.
Yeah, so $1.50. Yes.
With inflation, though,
Actually, sorry, it was $169.99.
Oh,
get out of town.
Yeah.
The original release of Rock Band pissed me off so much because it came out in the U.S. And this never happens with like staggered releases like this. It came out in the U.S. like 3 weeks before it came out in Canada, and I was like, "Damn you, harmonics!"
I think we all
They just
said
hate
that
Canada.
at some point.
So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm excited for it just to see if there is still a massive audience for it. I'd be curious to see if that audience is willing to come back.
I think it will sell really well. What's interesting to note, too, is the fact that it wasn't even necessarily that people were, getting burned out on it. It's just that they weren't making hundreds of millions of dollars off of it anymore.
Right.
It went from, like, a smash hit to a good,
Really big
successful release, and that was not enough anymore. I guess, like to justify the cost of making new peripherals for people to buy over and over again. I mean, oh man, poor them, right? But it's it's definitely a side that I won't even pretend to understand of the business of making games like that. So.
And the licensing. But then again, think about like creating the engines. Once you've done that for Guitar Hero anyway, they pretty much use the same one for a long time.
Yeah.
You don't really need to update it. It's just a fucking music track.
Did they
Music
switch?
highway.
I feel like they switched engines from Guitar Hero 2 to Guitar Hero 3.
Right,
If I
because
recall
2 was the one
correctly.
that was on PS2 and 3 was the first one on 360.
Yeah. So they had to do it for that,
So-
and then probably.
But then they
beyond
rolled
that,
with
it
that
was-
one
Yeah. mhm.
definitely from there on, as far as I know. They might have tweaked it a little bit, but it was pretty much the same deal.
Right. Well, Guitar Hero Live this fall. let us know whether or not you are a Harmonix or Activision supporter in this matter, or if you won't buy either. Because that's perfectly valid too. Next on the docket for us, YouTube's forthcoming paid subscription offering. Something that we actually talked about on the most recent Roundtable podcast, so hail us, ye mighty Nostradamus. Taken from an article from The Verge, it's expected to become available within the next few months. It's supposedly going to be around $10 a month, according to speculation from some involved parties. There's very specific wording, and it's kind of difficult to understand. If anyone understands it, feel free to take my reins here. But
the way I understand it is, don't trust The Verge for any real information.
I mean,
but there are words in this article here, so we could probably go over those.
Well, here, they actually have a copy of the letter that we all got sent, too. So
yeah, that's the good starting
point. If you aren't a partner, I think this was a partners-only email, and so if you haven't seen it, I'll read some very important excerpts. So, it says, Dear Redacted, your fans want choices. Not only do they want to watch what they want, whenever they want, anywhere, on any device, ever. They want YouTube features built specifically with their needs in mind. Over the past several months, we've taken bold new steps to bring those experiences to life. Since inviting we're excited to build on this momentum by taking another big step in favor of choice, offering fans an ad-free version of YouTube for a monthly fee. So it's happening. That's pretty much exactly what we were hoping for.
It's part of what we were hoping for.
Part of what we were hoping for, yeah.
A Twitch Turbo-esque subscription that gives you ad-free viewing across YouTube, and then the revenue is distributed based on view time, I think was what we
So basically, if somebody watches you 80% of the time and somebody watches another YouTuber 20% of the time, you're going to get 80% of their subscription money that's allocated for subscribers.
80% of probably
80% of
like
55%.
Well, 80%, that's it. 80% of the money that's allocated for content creators, so whatever that's going to be.
The lawyer-like phrasing was, well, this wasn't exactly it, but this is kind of, in layman's terms here as well. Subscription revenues will be pooled with partners receiving 55% of the total, which I don't know if that just applies universally. I would imagine it just relates to, watched hours on your content or, like a CPM based on the amount of time they spend watching you. So obviously, what would have been ideal for us, I think we all agree on this, is the fact that we'd like to see them offer editable and manageable on a channel level subscriptions fees for just individual channels. But obviously, that's kind of... It's very utopian thinking still, I think, just because as a general scope of YouTube, like we've, mentioned a couple of times before, they're way too huge of a company at this point to give a good goddamn about individual preferences on a creator level unless we are named Felix, more or less.
Yeah. It's like Twitch Turbo, which I'm basically just going to call it YouTube Turbo because that's what it is for now.
It is, yeah.
When you look at Twitch, I think Twitch Turbo is a really, really good thing for the consumer. And I think if Twitch Turbo is like $8 a month or something like that, you get ad-free viewing. It is basically a zero-sum game for the actual channel because the channel doesn't get paid based on the fraction of the Twitch Turbo subscription cost. They get paid what the ad impressions would have been from Twitch Turbo users.
Right.
So it's actually a little bit better on YouTube because if they're paying $10, it's better for creators on YouTube because if they're paying $10 a month, you're going to get more if they watch a lot of your content than if they were just watching ads or, not watching ads through a variety of different means.
Even if we only get like half of a penny of that $10 a month based on their impressions on our videos, per one person, that's actually an astronomical increase.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what people have to understand, too. And a lot of, and people, if you're on Twitter at all and you've been following this, there's a huge chunk of people who are the sky is falling and the other people who just don't see it as a big deal. It really, like, the big argument people have is this going to affect CPM now? Because now that there are people who are going to be signing up for YouTube Turbo, there's that many people who will not be seeing ads any longer. Therefore, maybe the ad buys won't be nearly as much money as it normally would be. Do you think that's actually a valid argument, or
this
do you think
is kind of where I'd like to see the numbers on Turbo users on Twitch, because I think that would definitely give us a good idea of what to expect there.
If you look at chat, it can't be more than like 5 or 10%.
I don't think it's even that high. I really think it's like 1 or 2.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And that
I think most people are content to either watch ads or to block ads and not feel guilty about it.
Right. That's why I think the individual subscription thing is, if it ever comes, will be what really helps.
Right.
So,
I think.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, so I think that from the perspective of somebody that's buying ad space on YouTube, seeing a 1% drop, I don't know that I can't imagine that's going to be cause for alarm for somebody that's buying into large chunk of advertising.
Yeah, I've heard the argument that this is the end of daily content on YouTube, and I fucking wholeheartedly disagree.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
it's like a lot more than that.
Yeah, well, I honestly, and maybe I'm just being weird, but wouldn't this be even better for daily content? Because if you're producing more videos, it's more time watched on your videos, therefore more money from the subscription to you, as opposed to somebody who puts one video out a week. It's almost like an incentive to produce more content, no? Is that my incorrect?
Or at least produce longer content.
Correct. But isn't that true, though? Like, wouldn't that be the argument? Like, more content, longer content?
So many variables.
It's hard to theory craft it, in my opinion, at least. But
we won't know until it happens, clearly.
Yeah, I don't think it would have that big of a deal. The only thing I could really think of off the top of my head without actually experiencing it is that it might push more companies towards paid sponsorships and native advertising in videos. Like
that's the other thing too. I was talking about. I'm like, I don't understand why we don't see more stuff like JonTron's an example. He's sponsored by Audible. At the end of all of his videos, it's an Audible like, hey, this video was sponsored by Audible. You can't ad block that shit. So like, why? I'm surprised we haven't, and I'm thinking we will see more of that in the future.
Or will that be a TOS violation now? If
there
you're
is
opting out of that.
You can't like. It was like in February or January, YouTube issued a change to its TOS that was like, you can't have like branded videos. I should really look this up.
You have to, what it is, there's a section in the monetization on your video options that says you have to mention in there that it is a paid product placement.
Yeah.
Here we go. I have the article, actually. Thank you, Google.
You're welcome.
YouTube is clamping down on video creators who work directly with brands, nudging them instead to rely on Google's sales team for deals. That's right. Google is going to start offering their own kind of paid brand deals. You can't have overlay ads? Is that it?
Wait, really?
Not overlay as in like it shows up on a significant portion of the screen like this is who's sponsoring this video or something. Not that it should be hidden, but rather...
Right.
I don't know. Just write the news article with the news. I don't care about your... I can make my own opinion based on the... All right, whatever.
Yeah. But, the art of disclosure obviously exists there as well. I really like... I mean, this is kind of a stretch, but I think this is playing more into the changing atmosphere of trying to go ad-free kind of across the board on the web as far as content creation is concerned, which I know is a phrase that a lot of people are starting to get all salty about for some reason these days.
What, content creation?
Yeah. Just, like, there was a video that came out or something. It's just...
I wish there was a better term for it than content creator. Not because of any implication, but just because it's clumsy.
Yeah. I don't feel like I'm a sheep being herded into a pen or anything like that. Like I'm making.
I mean, if you work at McDonald's and make hamburgers, you're a content creator,
right?
Creating food content, like
creative mass in the world.
Exactly.
I'll call myself a stuff maker. Just let me keep making YouTube videos. But yeah, no, I like the direction things are going as far as that's concerned. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people that are just kind of going straight Patreon, patreon.com/roundtable if you want to support the podcast. And it's probably just in general much better for everyone but advertisers, who are the party that can definitely stand to take the hit the most out of every person involved with this process. So in the process of, so let's just say, like, for my personal process here, I make videos, I put them up on my channel, and who's involved with that is me, my MCN, which is Curse, and YouTube and the advertisers that buy the space on my videos. So of all those people, I mean, I'm sure if we're talking like the grand scheme of things, YouTube could probably stand to not take a cut out of that, but obviously that's not happening.
Or at least not as big of a cut.
Right, yeah. But the MCN, you know, does their part to withhold whatever share they end up withholding from me, and then the advertiser is the one that is kind of the fat around it that just, you know, it's not necessary. You could cut it out, but it's, you know, it's there. So, like, if we introduce a system by which to eliminate that fat, there's no reason not to do it. And I think YouTube's kind of going in that direction, albeit with a very broad approach right now. I want to believe that they're getting closer and closer to the idea of if you're a person that makes a lot of opportunities for us to enjoy revenue, there's really no need for this third-party interaction. It can just be like, you and us have a thing going, and we allow you to get like this cut of whatever amount of money this content generates.
Well, by the same argument, wouldn't they also want to trim the fat of MCNs in the long run then too? Kind of eliminating more unnecessary transactions and splits?
They've been doing that though.
Yeah.
Like that was the shot that they fired at them last year by adding like that on link button. Well, they can't administer like every single YouTuber. It's just, which is probably why we have something like YouTube Turbo instead of like a subscription for every single channel. I agree though. I think they'd probably want to partner them directly, but you know, YouTube made that decision back in like 2008 when they offloaded the risk for like gray market content, like, or gray legal content like video game stuff to MCNs. So
I think good MCNs provide a value to YouTube that they probably don't just want to cut out completely. I think an MCN that can, you know, address concerns adequately for people that actually matter to the company as a whole are probably worthwhile to try to keep around, at least to a certain degree.
They can act as their customer service that they don't have.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
It's kind of like a child company almost.
It really is, and that's not a bad thing. I'm okay with MCNs in general, like the ones that really make an effort to do what they're supposed to do, which sounds ridiculous, but we have to add that qualifier because there's so many that don't at all.
Most don't.
Yeah,
I'd say the majority of them do not. Very few do actually hold their value.
Yeah. We won't say any more specifics, of course, but...
No. I think I'd say all of us are happy with who we're with for the most part right now.
Right now, yeah.
Right now, yeah.
In the past, no, but yes, now.
In the past, no.
I know we're treading a water that we don't really want to sink into, so that's all right. But yeah, so we're, I think, overall pleased with this. Obviously, we had higher hopes, but this... Right. I like to be optimistic about this.
I think I'm in the boat. I think it's going to be overall a positive thing. I don't think it's going to be the end of any particular thing on YouTube. God, the amount of times I've heard it's the end of gaming content.
Anytime something happens on YouTube, people
it's
just
so stupid. I think
YouTube
understands that gaming is the fastest growing section on YouTube. They've already announced their streaming service is focused on gaming and esports. If you think that they're not caring about the gaming section, then you're fucking off your rocker.
It makes way too much money for it to go anywhere anytime soon.
So I think they're making steps to try and... Basically, the problem they're addressing with this is ad block. And
exactly.
That's what they're trying to address. And if you don't think that they're not going to address that, like, look, nothing in the world is fucking free. I want you to go outside. I want you to walk 2 blocks and tell me if you see any ads and how many you see. Because that's the way the world fucking works. And if you want to ad block in real life, you close your eyes and you walk, and then hopefully you won't get hit by a fucking car. But that they're just trying to deal with the ad block thing. And I doubt that if YouTube a year now, from 2 years from now, if it doesn't get better, if they don't start making more money, they're just going to start doing, I'm sorry, we can't play this video because we detect you have ad block on. Websites are already doing that.
I don't think they do that.
You don't think so?
No, that is like the death knell of websites. Like when
Twitch already does something like that.
GameSpot did something like that in like the 6 months before they got fucking shit canned.
Twitch does do something like that, though.
Twitch says we can't display this ad.
Yeah, Twitch and Hulu both have what I think is kind of the consumer-friendly variant of it. Like, nobody that I'm aware of does, we can't play this content for you because you have ad blocker. They have something like, we can't play this ad.
We had trouble finding this content or something. Let
and then
me
like a little
explain why
sad
it's
face and
very
there's a puppy crying.
Well, let's say they
like
go
that.
the way of Hulu, because the way Hulu does it is it's like a 60-second screen of, I'm sorry, we can't detect your ad block, so you're going to wait 60 seconds till you can see the video anyway.
Yeah.
So if they do that, that's fine, because then the people who are running ad block are suffering the same exact problem that they would if they just had ads on, or worse.
I'm not going to vilify the people that use ad block because it's just too large of a demographic to kind of generalize like that.
Yeah.
There are people who don't want to be inconvenienced. There's people who there is a small percentage of people who are like, fuck you, you shouldn't be making money doing what
Those
you're
are
doing,
the people
but I watch
that
your
I
content
am.
anyway.
As I say, those are the people I'm addressing.
And then there's people who are like, they're concerned about malware and malicious scripts and stuff like that. That's fine. I think
it's
what
people who
YouTube
are
is
like
doing is the right thing, which is saying like, okay, ad block exists. We're gonna add something that is an optional kind of like service on top of what you have. It'll directly fund YouTube without advertisements and the content creators that you watch, but it doesn't change anything if you don't want it to. Like, this is not going to stop people from using ad block, but it just gives people that want to support you another choice, which I think is fine.
No,
and I'm not going to say, like, I'll say thank you for not using ad block, but at the same time, I'm not going to say, like, fuck you for using ad block. Yeah, exactly, because there's just too many people out there.
The people that fuck you for ad block are the people who are using ad block to say fuck you. Yeah. Those are the people that I'm addressing.
People that have ad block and have moral stance about having ad block.
Yeah,
those
the
are
people who, when this news came out, were like, well, I'm not going to buy the subscription because I already have ad block. Like, ha. And you're like, oh, you got me.
Yeah, you got me, buddy. Like, that's nothing in the world is free. You better.
Whoa, dude. What is this ad block? I've never heard of it. You're telling me it blocks all the ads?
Those are the people who, when they turn, 18 and start having to do shit in real life, are going to realize nothing in the world is free.
Dude, they're going to find out about My Chemical Romance this
fall. Then they're going to pirate their music.
I wanted to say one more thing, and I think it's a slight variant of what we were just talking about, and I think it was a big mistake for them to go with the way that they're trying to do this, because they could have leveraged the individual personalities to drive the subscription system instead of just relying on the, quote, goodwill of YouTube itself.
Yeah.
People want to support individuals, which in turn support YouTube, but people don't really care as much to support YouTube for the sake of supporting YouTube.
Yeah.
So they would have won 5 times over if they would have just used us for that.
That's actually a really good point.
But at the same time, I do wonder if we're coming from like too much of an inside baseball perspective of like really personality-driven channels. I wonder how much of YouTube's traffic is personality-driven channels like us, or like PewDiePie, or like a makeup guru or something like that, and how much of it is like ads in front of like dog chases car, amazing video you have to watch. So I guess
fair point.
From a consumer perspective, they're like, I will pay $10 to not see ads on YouTube. Like, I think my hunch is that that's going to be what's driving whatever sales of this that they get, is people that are like, I don't want to see ads. $10 is a pretty good value. I watch a lot of YouTube. And a smaller subset of people that are like, this will also give back to the content creators that I enjoy. I think most people that use YouTube are still ignorant of the fact. I noticed when I was applying for like apartments, and people were like, what do you do for a living? And you're like, well, I create video content on the internet, and they're like, "Whoa, you get paid for that? What? Yeah. Well, you mean like
you make like $5?
Right? Yeah. The ads that you're
we have a vending machine downstairs for you.
So I don't know. I think maybe we're a little bit too on the inside, but I would like them to offer that. It's a gargantuan ask, probably, to administer it, but it would be awesome if it worked. I mean, they administer fan funding, so maybe.
I like that. The potential, that's all.
I would like it.
No, I like that perspective, though, of the fact that there's a lot more of a community feel. Like, again, we're making a comparison to Twitch Turbo here. There's a lot more of a community feel around the idea of, hey, we're Twitch. We're just your friendly neighborhood streaming service. Come on by and give us $1, and you won't have to watch these dumb ads. It's like, for YouTube, it's like, fat dude wearing a thin tie, smoking a Cuban cigar. Like, hey, why don't you give me $10? You won't have to watch this shit anymore. I don't think I want to give that guy $10, but my, my happy little buddy down the road, I'm okay with that one. So... I like the idea that there's an easier sell from Twitch's perspective about, the grand scheme of things, as opposed to, I don't think I'll ever feel the need in my life, or the impulse rather, to say like, you know, Google could probably use my $10. I think they'd probably deserve that. So yeah, no, I like that, but I also understand, like, definitely from a business perspective, it's very difficult to make the argument against just the broader scope.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm just coming from my own channel and my own perspective, and I'm not really thinking about the way that the demographics actually split on YouTube, which is probably to the fact that we really don't get as many views as I think we do in the scheme of things.
As a consumer and not a creator, I'll ask you guys in turn, would you guys buy YouTube Turbo? Let's assume it's $10 a month, you get no ads. Just like a very simple value
I would, because
proposition.
I don't watch TV. I just watch YouTube.
Yeah.
Like,
Same.
I don't even watch Twitch. Like, I very rarely watch Twitch. I spend 90% of my time watching YouTube. So.
I've kind of grown used to ads on YouTube, actually.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Outside of YouTube, I definitely still, you know, like, get annoyed by them, but I've just sort of accepted it as a part of YouTube.
Well, I think it's easier to swallow on YouTube because there's no commercial breaks in between the videos. It's just an ad in the beginning, and then you get the whole fucking video without having to worry about an ad.
Yeah, unless people are being like scumbags putting mid-roll breaks on.
700 fucking mid-rolls in the center.
God damn it, Ryan, and your old Isaac videos.
That was me too. I'm still pruning him off all my
Nick.
indie impressions videos.
That's so... I still think back on that as so absurd
mad
that
about that.
happened. That is the most ridiculous thing. But
yeah,
anyway.
That's why I can swallow it. I feel like the ads, because it's just one ad. For the most part, it's one ad in the beginning, and then I just get the whole video. I don't have to worry about it. So I'll just throw up the video, and then I'll click off to another tablet. I wait for the ad to finish, and then I'll click back over, and I'm good.
Unlike TV, the content isn't really created with advertisements in mind as well.
Yeah.
Like if you watch like a reality TV show and they keep like the person that's going to be eliminated is minutes of ads.
Yeah,
Is
recap
Dove
for 30
hairspray. No,
I would buy that. I'll if it comes out, which is always an if on YouTube. In a timely fashion, anyway. I'll pay $10. I watch enough YouTube that
I'll pay $10 for it. That would be a great
$10
trade.
done.
That's probably like $500.
That's a lot of money.
I think I would get my value out of it. I still don't have Twitch Turbo, and that comes down to me probably not watching enough Twitch.
That's exactly what it is. If I watch Twitch, I will subscribe to that one person that I watch a lot. And
I'm fine with that.
On the other hand, though, I'm thinking like, hey, if I really wanted to do this thing on YouTube just to support like the few people that I watch regularly there, wouldn't it just be more efficient for me to subscribe to them on Twitch a couple of times? Like,
well, I mean,
in the end, I'm giving them way more support that way.
Looking at it from that perspective, you definitely just want to use the tip jar thing on YouTube.
Yeah. The tip jar thing exists.
Like,
you give somebody $2 on the tip jar on YouTube, and you're covered for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, guilt-free.
Pretty true.
You're done.
It sucks that YouTube did not push the tip jar, because I could feel like that could have been really, really good. But it just kind of just showed up.
Yeah.
I found out how you can check if you've ever had a donation to it. Also, it's in your
It's
Google
cryptic
Wallet.
as fuck.
But you've gotta verify your account on Google Wallet and become like a business account, I think. Because I couldn't see anything, and
Oh man, wait! Can I have like $5 in my Google Wallet that I have no idea exists?
There, see, that's the idea. You might
wow.
have money that people have given you don't even know about. So if we've ever not noticed you donated to us, thank you, and we're sorry, and we will get better at it.
We have no idea. They're not telling us.
They don't tell us what to do. I just had to figure it out.
Yeah, there's no notification.
Well, that's interesting.
you can get a notification if someone leaves a comment on your video that says like, "Hey, shithead, you suck. Like, go kill yourself."
But it says supported next to
if somebody leaves a tip, you gotta be like, "Oh, tweet me if you leave a tip."
Oh, I wanted to believe like that was the person that has the little indicator next to their name.
There's a little badge that shows up if you supported, but I don't know to what degree that counts. So, like, if you supported 2 months ago, will that badge stay there, and will it show up on all your comments, or just in the About section on your video channel? They don't give you the rules.
Right.
I also want to say that whenever anything involving money comes up, people are like, "Oh, like YouTube's trying to like milk us. How does YouTube need more money? Blah blah blah." Lighten up, I guess.
Right,
It's not mandatory. It's an optional subscription. If you're mad that people who pay extra are going to be treated to privileges that maybe people that don't pay are not treated to,
Patreon.com/roundtable.
never like eat at a restaurant or fly in an airplane
Don't
or
leave your fucking house.
buy a car. Like it's the way the world works. As long as we use money to, buy food that enters our body and gives us life, it's going to be worth a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not sitting here saying like this is going to be great because we're going to get rich. I'm more like it's a good service, and it could be like a win-win-win if it makes YouTube more browsable for people, and people who do have guilt about using AdBlock can absolve it, and also maybe we'll make pennies, or maybe we'll make a not insignificant number, and maybe it'll become the bulk of our revenue. Nobody knows yet. The third one, probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably not the third one.
Unlikely, but
The big doomsday prophecy was that it was a slippery slope, that we were going to go from this optional thing to a mandatory thing, and I don't think any of us really think that's going to happen.
People are always like, when they introduce paid subscriptions that had like mandatory viewing, or like you had to have a paid subscription.
There's a paywall to the content.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it was totally optional, and you had to even apply for it. People were still like, "Oh, this is it. This is YouTube knows that if it does shit like that, its business is going to go under."
Yeah.
Like, that's why people are like, "I hope you never make your videos behind a paywall." I'm like, I'll never make my videos behind a paywall because then no one will watch my. Like that.
I will
diehard.
I'll watch them.
You'll cash in like once, and then no new people will ever find your channel, which is like the death sentence for a channel on YouTube that does something like what we do.
Yeah.
So it's just like, they're not stupid.
Trust YouTube. They know they need to make money too.
They make mistakes, but they also run like what has been the biggest video streamer in the US or in the world for like 11 years, and has systematically eliminated like all of its competition.
I've got the answer, guys.
Oh.
Okay.
Daily Motion. And then Hitbox.
Wait a minute. Tell me more about Daily Motion.
Daily
It's Daily Motion.
is a place we can put our videos.
Oh.
And they're not
What's
owned
this
by
Daily
Google.
Motion?
Oh,
the kids
wait,
are
they're not
talking
run by
about
Google.
these days?
They're not run by Google.
Are you sure?
I'm almost
For
positive.
now.
Almost positive.
I'm almost
But
positive.
if they get big, they will sell themselves to Google.
Then we go to Hitbox. There's always an option.
Like, go to Hitbox is just like its own punchline at this point, man.
I got nothing against Hitbox.
I
man.
don't either.
I know,
It's just
yeah.
a fun joke to make.
You're gonna get yourself in trouble with
Hitbox?
with the people who watch Hitbox.
The Hitbox hitmen are coming for you, man.
Hitbox Hitman.
We can never.
It's like one guy in our
actually-
comment section.
We can never go to Daily Motion. What are you talking about? Our comment section. I'm very diplomatic about companies I may choose to have a business relationship with in the future. This guy is burning bridges. He's never even seen the city. Daily Motion we can't go to because they've been banned in Kazakhstan since August 2011, and
Oh.
I'm a huge earner with my Kazakh audience.
Dude, everybody in Kazakhstan knows me.
Dude, Astana, they invite me there to the capital city every year.
I've got one viewer from Luxembourg that watches 100% of the minutes watched. Every
Yeah.
video they've watched is like the whole thing. So
There's like a 1 in 10,000
Nice.
chance that it's actually the prime minister of Luxembourg.
I like to believe that.
The odds are not that bad, honestly.
That's as good as it gets.
Outside of everything I've ever done, if the Prime Minister of Luxembourg has watched every video I've made through its entirety, I'll just, I'll sign off now. Like, thank you, life. I appreciate it. I've achieved all I can possibly do.
I want to know if I have anybody in Luxembourg.
Go check, man. That's
Speaking
the.
of foreign countries, I just remembered, the tip jar is only available in like 3 places. It's available in
United States,
Japan?
UK, and Japan. Is that what it is?
Yeah, UK and US, right? So
Yeah.
not even in Canada?
That's why
That's
Ryan ain't getting nothing.
Strange.
I don't even know if I enabled it, to be honest with you.
Did you? Let's go.
I
don't
did,
think
and then
so.
I ignored
Let's
it. I
go
never did
find
like a
out.
video on it. I just kind of did it. I was like, we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, you never did.
Hey, Chip!
Whoa! Your trailer started playing. Whoop.
Oh,
You're
That
not
was really loud.
subscribed to
oh,
Ryan?
I'm on the Roundtable account. I'm subscribed to Ryan. I'm an
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, that's the YouTube news. Supposedly going to be $10 a month to subscribe to YouTube, I guess is what you would call that, barring whatever name they come up with. They're going to call it like, YouTube Turbo
Nitro.
Prime. YouTube Nitro. I kind of like that.
Yo, YouTube does so good with ads, too. I hate to see the cynicism. It's like the only site that is that big that is like,
Yeah, I was
run
gonna-
a 30-second ad, you can skip it after 5 seconds, and the content creator still gets paid for like the fraction of the time that you watch the ad. I feel like for the most part they do a really good job of doing.
But it's not
shit.
100% free, Ryan.
They added unskippable ads recently, too.
Right, but optionally.
Yeah, it's optional.
And the content creators, for the most part, have control over whether or not those show up. So it's like,
Yeah.
if you're seeing those, you can kind of blame the person you're watching to a degree.
Unless their network did it for them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, okay, huge caveat to that. It's not always their fault, so please
You can blame me for all of my ads, except if you go back like a year and a half watching NLSS and it has like 80 mid-rolls, that's not on me.
I wanted to clarify that for people that had no idea what we were talking about, too.
I do have
that happened a little while
ads
ago.
enabled.
If it makes you feel better, I don't even get any benefit out of those mid-rolls.
Are they all going to Machinima? Shit.
You guys all have non-skippable ads enabled?
No.
I only enable them sometimes.
It's
but
automatically enabled unless you disable it.
Turn it off in defaults, man.
Oh, shit.
We also got to go in there and...
Before we do this, I do want to point out that everyone's going to make, oh, this is a good decision. Jeff Major tweeted that he turned off unskippable video ads and his revenue fell like 70% overnight. So
wow.
You might want to like not do that immediately. You might want to like talk to somebody, not do it live on the Roundtable podcast.
Do it! I've already done it.
Out of goodwill.
What a guy.
We're saving face here, man. That's all that matters. $10 a month. Let us know if you are keen on participating in that sort of service. We're interested to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about video games.
Whoa.
You want to go that route?
I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah? All right. Well, just keep talking about ponies and apricots, because those are your two interests, based on what I've learned from you as a person. Rock Lee hardly smile. Titan Souls.
Titan
Souls.
Did we talk about everything we wanted to that wasn't video games? I thought we had TwitchCon that we wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, but I just said the words
Right back
Titan
into the
Souls.
pit.
All right.
Oh,
sorry,
no.
I'm sorry, guys. I have the tab.
We're playing
up.
easy
Titan
right now.
Souls will be coming up later in the show. Here's an ad for Irish Springs. All of my ads are about bath products. I don't know why.
Springs.
Irish Springs.
It's
Not spring. Springs. Like the
Irish
bouncy
Springs, yeah.
Oh.
No, you never had like Irish Springs? That shit smells good, man.
It's the lady with she's carving the soap in the stream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
TwitchCon is going to be happening December 25th and 26th at the Scone Convention Center in sunny San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Raise your hand if you're going.
Tickets have gone on sale now. Tickets have gone on sale.
All-star.
They still have Friday, Saturday, and oh no, they don't have full weekend.
Weekend
tickets.
are sold out, yeah.
Friday and Saturday, and the $25 after party ticket available as well. It is $45 and $54 Friday and Saturday, respectively.
I don't think any of us are going.
I will diplomatically explain why I'm not going to TwitchCon. The reason I'm not going to TwitchCon...
You can't just say, I will diplomatically do X and expect it to be okay, Ryan.
I'm very diplomatic.
Not okay.
Very considered diction. And,
I will diplomatically tell you how big of a piece of shit you are, Ryan.
Ooh, God.
Jesus
That's not
Christ.
very diplomatic at all.
I'm not going to TwitchCon because it's expensive, for one, if you don't live in San Francisco.
San Francisco's expensive as shit, man. It's ridiculous.
The hotel specials that they have. Let's ignore the fact that San Francisco is like probably the most expensive city in America to visit, and like your average meal is going to cost you like $20, like bargain. The hotels are $250 to $300 a night, which is expensive but kind of standard for San Francisco. You're gonna have to stay at least 3 days, so that's like $1,000, and then you're gonna have to fly in from elsewhere. And it's close to PAX. So, you know, I was looking at it, like for Kate and I to go would probably be $1,900 ballparked before meals for 4 days, which is fine. And, you know, we might end up spending that to go to PAX, maybe, although we live close enough that we can take a bus instead. And the cost of staying there is a lot cheaper in Seattle, although still expensive.
Yeah.
But PAX is bigger, and PAX has something, like it has stuff that I'm interested in seeing. Like it has a lot of video games being demoed. You can meet developers, you know, go to panels and stuff like that. TwitchCon has that, but it really seems like it's mostly focused around meet and greet with, like, between fans and streamers.
Right.
So as much as this makes me sound like an asshole, like, it's hard for me to justify paying that kind of money to go to something where kind of, like, I'm being sold.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to spend the weekend, like, meeting fans and stuff like that, we already do that at PAX.
I was gonna say, you could just do it at PAX, and you have a good time doing other things as well.
Exactly. There's like something for me to do there as well, which I don't feel is selfish to ask for, considering they're paying, like you're paying for it all.
Yeah.
If Twitch, and this is completely unfeasible, but if Twitch paid for at least the ticket, you could maybe justify a little bit more, or they subsidize some hotel or subsidize the flying costs or something like that. That would be really expensive per partner to bring them in, but at the same time, the partners are the people that are driving the ticket sales, I think. So it's kind of a weird...
I have to imagine they're covering the cost at least of some of the people.
They have to be. There's no way.
I would be amazed if they were not completely covering some people.
Like MathasGames got to be just like covered.
I assume like if you're on the clock for Twitch officially, then you probably are getting covered. Like there are people that Twitch takes to, like, they don't send them to PAX, they take them to PAX.
Right.
And a lot of
they
the
bound
people that
and gag them and they throw them in the back of a truck.
a lot of people that are involved in that do live in the area, so it's going to be cheap to bring them to San Francisco because they already live somewhere in, like, you know, that area of California. But, you know, I'm pretty sure that this is not like under NDA or anything like that. But our offer was like, we'll reserve a ticket for you as a partner, like not even a +1, which sucks for my wife, even though she's a Twitch partner. I'm going to have to go through general ticketing. And, you know, I mean, I feel like, and they offer 10% off of the ticket cost, which is like $20.
Yeah, but then look at the itinerary and, like, what are we doing there?
Meet and greet, broadcast with your favorite Twitch partners, signings, and then exclusive swag, which you're going to buy.
When I saw the whole, like, what do you want to see at TwitchCon? You tell us. Send us a form. What do you want to see as panels? I'm like, guys,
we don't know.
You guys need to get your panel shit together a little bit quicker than you are and not ask everybody else.
I filled it out, and I was like, I want to see, like, game demos. Like
make it a PAX.
Make it like a miniature version of PAX, at least a little bit. But then I tweeted, and I was like, you know, are there any game developers that are planning on demoing at TwitchCon? And all the developers that tweeted me back were like, we haven't even heard anything about it yet. And this is the first year of it, so maybe they're just getting it together late, who's going to be exhibiting. Like, I don't know if PAX Prime has an exhibitor list yet, but PAX has a history of having a lot of game devs there. Like, that's what it is. So, you know, you kind of buy a ticket on reputation, and you know what you're getting into. TwitchCon's a little bit more volatile because it's its first year, so...
You open that up with, like, the personal financial strenuations, which obviously play a large role. But I think, you know, it's not just that. It's the majority of it is... This doesn't really seem like it's, you know, we can't really rationalize this sort of trip because it's not really providing anything noteworthy.
I still don't know what the fuck the point is.
Perhaps networking is the best that we could get out of it, and honestly, I'd rather just do that at PAX or on Twitter or through wherever.
I'd like for them to host it in Nebraska, if that were going to be the case. That way I could go for $50 and get a 5-star hotel. No offense to Nebraska, it's just that you're a lot cheaper than San Francisco.
It makes you sound like an asshole, but basically it's like, do you want to blow... And blow is a weighted term. Do you want
to do blow in San Francisco or eat corn in Nebraska?
Do you want to spend, you know, maybe upwards of $1,000 for one person, or maybe a little under $1,000 for one person, depending on where you're from, to, like, meet people all weekend? That does happen a lot. Like, but, you know, I was at Vancouver Fan Expo, and you know, there were actors there, like William Shatner was there, and, you know, Jennifer Morrison, some famous kind of like sci-fi geek culture actors. But do you want to have at TwitchCon what happened at Fan Expo, where it's basically like William Shatner will be like, "Hey, nice to meet you, but if you want to take a picture, it's $80."
Yeah, right.
Like, he's like, I sent myself here, I got to pay for it somehow, right? Like, I'm the product. I don't think Twitch wants that to happen either. So they're in this weird place where, you know, they can't afford to spend $500 per partner to bring them there. And the partners are going to be like, well, I can't really afford to spend $800 to get myself there. And that's a low ball.
It's putting them in a weird place because, like you said, you kind of sound like a dick when you're telling people, I don't want to go because I don't want to have to do that at my own expense.
For the financial benefit of Twitch.
Yeah. So, you know, like we've said a few times before, they do kind of rely on the draw of, you know, the sense of community around, like, we're all part of Twitch. We gotta pull together and do this to help Twitch succeed.
The Twitch Kool-Aid is strong.
Yeah. I don't want to even really go that route necessarily because I don't think that's as much of what's happening here.
Well, I'm looking at their interactive activities that they have listed here, and everything that they have here is stuff that they do at PAX. Broadcasting live that they do at PAX. Play games with them. Who is them? I'm assuming Twitch
partners.
broadcasters and partners.
Yeah.
Mingle with them. celebrate with them, watch their channels, learn the ins and outs of broadcasting, and get your channel up and running in Twitch. So outside of the typical thing they do at PAX, which is just broadcasting games and stuff, it's all about Twitch partners. And there's nothing here that shows anything about like having a show floor of games or things to do. If you are going for the Twitch partner, period.
Right now, at least.
As of right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to interject what I want to qualify as definitely just my personal opinion here on this, but if TwitchCon is trying to approach this idea as sort of, you know, a GDC equivalent of getting started in broadcasting, that's not a good idea. There's not enough information, like everything you need to know about starting off trying to become a Twitch streamer is readily available to you online. And going to a conference and spending thousands of dollars, if that's your goal, if you want to go to TwitchCon to learn how to become a good streamer, don't do that. Please don't do that.
That's such a huge waste of money.
There's much, much better ways to get started. And
I'll
tell you them if you want to tweet at me.
Right.
Like, I don't have the secrets, but I'll help you. Like
$80
if it stops you from spending for a tweet session with
There's
BaerTaffy.
so many AMAs up on Reddit on how to get started on YouTube and Twitch, and we've talked about it at great length. All of us at some point have had to have talked about it via videos, via Reddit. Like, it's all free. It's all there. There's no need to fly out if this is what they're going for. And we're not saying this is what they're going for, but it's coming across that way in some respects. That's not necessary.
And what does that mean for people like us? We don't want to go there to learn how to become broadcasters. That's like even another level removed.
I feel like the reason you go is to make Twitch money. Like, you're the draw, right?
But
like
it's going to cost me like 2 months.
I know.
See, that's what we're trying to figure out. Is like, what on earth is the justification for it? And I wish I knew.
Spot because you are actively saying like, I'm not going to go because all I'm going to be doing is being on the clock, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to because I hate my fans. I don't want to pay $2,000 to meet my fans.
You're
like,
on the clock and putting money
selfish
into the clock, not getting it out of it.
Exactly, and like, I don't know, I kind of resent that. But there are people out there that are like, you know, there is a sentiment that's like, Twitch is making you money. Twitch isn't a charity. You should pay to go to TwitchCon. And then you're like, well, but we're also like, we're making Twitch money. Like, Twitch is our employer.
Yeah.
Sort
Other
of.
employers
Take it out of everything we do.
Other employers out there, including the Cheesecake Factory, as a server, if you're going somewhere, they pay for you to go.
If you had like a Sunday morning team building exercise, for the,
that's at the expense
Factory,
of the company for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
They're not going to say,
you clock in.
We're doing a team building exercise in San Francisco. Sorry, you got
buy a ticket.
We can give you 10% off though.
Yeah.
And I recognize that this does put Twitch in a weird spot. And there are, because if they want to do a TwitchCon, they need partners there. But the cost to get a partner there is going to be prohibitive unless they're in the area. It's not feasible for them to fly everybody in that people would want to see and put them up. However, you know, there are conventions in other industries. This is like the counterpoint. Like if you worked in the insurance industry or you work in some kind of sales industry, there will be a convention across the country. You can go to it. You can learn techniques and stuff like that. However, during the time that you're not learning techniques, you're also not selling tickets basically for the convention that you're at. You know, if you sell vacuum cleaners and you go to Vacuum Con, you learn some techniques to sell vacuums more often, but you're not on the show floor with people going like, "Oh, are you Mr. Dyson? Are you Mr. You know, Dirt Devil?"
Name drop.
So it's weird. It puts the streamers in a sensitive spot to say, like, that's why I tweeted it and I was like, I got to come over the top and say I'm not going to TwitchCon because I don't want people to be buying the tickets under the assumption that we're going to be there and then being mad at me for not being there. So I think it just makes sense to I mean, if you have the choice and you're already far away from both, just go to PAX if you want to. And you can afford to, but
I sit in the camp of I just don't understand what TwitchCon is for and what it's about. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's not aimed at us. It's not marketed toward us. Yet requires us.
No,
right,
yeah.
Exactly. It's
really weird. It's really weird.
I'm really trying to learn
game demos there, and they might because they're saying like we got a lot of surprises, and I'm like, all right, but I'm not gonna like buy tickets based on
a
surprise. Yeah, you should tell me.
Tell us what the surprises are.
Tell us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't want special treatment, but if we're gonna have to like pay our own money to go there to market your brand, basically, it would be nice if you would be like, because right now, if they don't tell me what the surprises are, I'm kind of like, well, you don't know what the surprises are. Yeah. It's gonna be a surprise for you too.
That's how it's coming across.
Yeah. Well, this hopefully clarifies for people, like, we're just as blind in this as you are. Like, everything we've learned from Twitch Weekly and from emails we've gotten, which is very little. And there's, like, the FAQ, or the FAQ, like I like to call it, on TwitchCon.com, and, you know, all these are just like, will I meet my favorite broadcaster at TwitchCon? And I don't like that that's even a question on there, actually, now that we've been talking about what we've been talking about. It's like,
Is that a question?
Don't guarantee that. We don't know. Like, there's
How does that work?
Well, they're very vague. This says you will meet many of the broadcasters at TwitchCon, and we'll be releasing
maybe. We don't know. We're hoping so, because otherwise...
1% of you want to meet Caster X, we will make sure he's there.
Yeah.
I like this. Will I meet Kappa, Frank Rizzi, and other well-known Twitch icons? Maybe.
Oh,
maybe.
I'm
We've
open
got some
to going
things up our sleeves.
to TwitchCon in the future. Like, it is the first year of the convention. It's kind of punching down to be like, whoa, you guys don't know like exactly how your convention's going to go that you've never ran before. But it is like, it's a terrible value proposition financially speaking right now, and it's so close to PAX both geographically and temporally. It's the same month basically. So it has an uphill battle, but I'll be paying attention to how TwitchCon goes, and if it goes well, and you know, I talk to other streamers and they're like, it was a really worthwhile event, then I would consider going in the future. It's going to be really hard to convince me to go to TwitchCon either instead of PAX or in addition to PAX.
I'm really looking forward to the possibility of them introducing us to ideas that they have that they're withholding from us for whatever reason or another that incentivize me to go. I'd like to I want a reason to go. I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I feel like this first year is probably just the strategic, like, put a line in the sand and say this is going to be a thing now, and next year they're going to have relationships with people that make more value for us to go. So I'm not even really worried about it. I know we've sounded really negative, but I don't think we are all that negative. We're just kind of speculating.
We're very
about what's
skeptical,
coming
I
later.
think, is more than
skeptical,
like a pessimistic approach to it. Yeah, which I guess are in.
I still love Twitch. It's not like I don't like Twitch now or anything.
No, it's just your typical I love Twitch too, and I enjoy streaming on it. I just, if you're gonna ask me for money to go somewhere, tell me what I'm doing there outside of maybe meeting my favorite broadcaster if they possibly go.
I think I come across as negative because in a way I kind of feel like you have to come over the top with rationalization so that you don't sound ungrateful, because there are people that are like, you make money on the internet playing video games, it's a dream job. Yeah. Shouldn't you just do whatever Twitch asks for, like if you have the money for it? And that's what I resent, and kind of why I'm maybe over rationalizing it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We got to look after each other too.
So normally your employer, if they make money from you, facilitates you getting to the event.
They don't have an obligation to look after us, so we've got to look after each other.
So TwitchCon is in San Francisco at the Moscone Theater/Convention Center, September 25th and 26th. If you guys have reasons that we have no idea exists of why you think we should go, then please tell us. We're actually very, very interested. If you have those reasons, please let us know. Either on comments or Twitter at Roundtable PC.
Moscone is a nice convention center. It's a nice area. That's where they did the GDC.
Yeah, that was GDC this year. So. It was beautiful. I liked it a lot.
It's a nice area.
Yeah. So, I think that's all the things we had outside of games, right?
Think so.
No.
Like
you guys introduced Titan Souls. I'm gonna get some more coffee. Professional Roundtable.
Hey, all right.
Wow. Well, I'll be right back. I'm going to take a piss real quick.
Okay, yeah. Let's just throw on the commercial break here, like we've been planning to do for all this time.
Ryan.
Titan Souls is a game developed by Acid Nerve, published by Devolver Digital. Came out on April 14th on Steam, and is available on other distributor sites as well. It's what can be adequately described as the indie Shadow of the Colossus. I think that's probably a fair way to describe the whole game.
I'd like to be positioned that way, honestly.
And I'm okay with that from what I've experienced thus far. But, kind of the aesthetic and the appeal of Shadow of the Colossus with some of the design elements therein, as well as the difficulty of Dark Souls, and sort of wearing those inspirations on their sleeve quite a bit as you play through the game.
It's very Shadow of the Colossus inspired, right down to the possible motivation that you're the bad guy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I actually made that. Okay, so
that's not a spoiler, right? Like,
no, I don't think so.
There's
not
very
just
little
like the
time.
end of the game.
No, there's no.
Very
I'm
close to saying
barely.
that,
I'm
but I don't know.
barely into the game myself. It's just. It's,
Okay,
There's
well-
very little. There's no narrative. There's like no story.
Right, no
It's just-
exposition at all.
You go into all the boss fights, and they're either doing nothing or just bouncing around. And one thing I noticed is when you're fighting the Heart and the Blob, one of the very first bosses,
Yeah.
as you walk toward it, it bounces away from you. And it keeps trying to get away from you until you attack it.
I was gonna
all the
say that, like,
bosses-
I was worried
yeah.
about that being a spoiler, but there we go. But now I made the comparison there to Shadow of the Colossus, where you encounter that first giant Colossus, and it's just sort of wandering around, and it doesn't really give a damn about you or what you're doing. It's just doing its own thing. I felt even worse about this blob, though, because I gave it a personality that it was just having the time of its life, just bouncing around. Like, all its life is, it's simpler than a puppy. It's just
Yeah.
a giant ball of slime just bouncing around,
Oh, I
and
hate
it just
being
like has this
associated with a puppy.
the biggest happy smile on its face. It's just like,
Oh,
my
come
life is
on.
amazing. I just get to
Oh
bounce
my
around
God,
in
Bear,
this
you
room
gotta
all
stop
day.
now.
I know.
So,
And then you kill it, you monster.
All right. So for those that don't understand, based on those references we've just made, the game is essentially one big long boss rush where you get a single arrow and everything kills you in one hit. So you've got to figure out the puzzle element to destroying every single boss in the world. I think it's somewhat non-linear. Am I correct in saying that? There's a few optional areas. And you're going to kind of make your way from boss to boss, solving puzzles and opening up the world as you go. Figured we should, clarify what exactly the game is, other than just saying it's like Shadow Colossus.
It's like killing puppies, really, is what I've
Really,
clarified
Like
this, I
that.
guess.
Not happy about that.
But it is. It's. I love the idea of one-shot kill. The only complaint I have about that is I wish every time you died, you started like right outside the boss room. You didn't have to do a dumb like few-second run every time, because there are a couple of bosses that I've run into so far where it's taken me like, I die right away. Okay, I learned that. Now I go in. Okay, he has this too. I died right away. And you just have to the running. It's not even that long, but after you do it enough, it gets annoying.
Hey, at least it doesn't say Bloodborne for 40 seconds every
Oh
time.
God! I picked up the PS4 and I bought Bloodborne. By the way,
Yeah.
holy crap! The loading times make me want to peel out my
The
eyeballs.
patch is coming by the end of the month, is what I read.
We are experiencing minor technical difficulties. Please stand by.
We're back.
We're back.
Sorry, technical difficulties. We're back, but we're still talking about Titan Souls, and Mathas
Yeah.
has been kissing us for the last 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, Mathas was like, it sucks to have to walk back into the boss fight.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's subtle. The furthest boss fight away that I've found from the spawn point is like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. But it reminds me almost if you were playing like Super Meat Boy, and every time you died, you have to go back to like the world select screen and then the level
Go to the
select
world.
screen.
Yep.
So it is the kind of thing where like I almost feel like it artificially lengthens the game in a way because it forces you to kind of like get out of that like, I don't know, flow state of just fighting the boss over and over and over and over, where you might be able to beat it in like 3 minutes, and instead it stretches it out to like 10 minutes or 15 minutes per Titan, most 50% because of the walking time.
Yeah.
Does Dark Souls just get away with it because you don't die in one hit?
Well, there's
Yeah,
just
I think
this.
so.
You don't die one hit, and then there's stuff to do on the way. You're still
You
fighting.
can roll. You can roll the whole way there.
I mean, you could.
That's what I do.
I like rolling down the stairs, man.
But
Gotta keep
That's
rolling.
a childish endeavor, but it's satisfying.
a boss fight in Dark Souls typically lasts a little bit longer, just because you can learn as you're fighting and you're not dead instantaneously. You take hits. You're like, okay, ow. You can heal yourself. Maybe you like prolong the fight while you're learning
this
what
is
he
healing
does.
yourself.
Well, Estus. I just Estus.
Yeah, no, I know, yes.
It isn't also like just about fighting the bosses.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, like not even just the gameplay section from a bonfire to a boss that you've died against multiple times, but like that game is not like Dark Souls is a game where you fight bosses. Like Titan Souls, that's all you do.
Yeah.
You run to the boss room and you fight bosses.
Lion strats, though, like after you kill something once, you die to it, and then you gotta run back a bunch of times, right? And you're just gonna avoid everything on the way there. So
Right. I mean, I don't disagree with that, but if I'm just going to kill the boss anyway, it doesn't matter how long the runtime is. It's more like if it kills me 100 times and I've got to figure out its pattern. It's just like kind of mindless gameplay to be running back and forth. In what is otherwise a very deliberate and like very well designed game, it's very strange to me that you have to like run to the boss fight every single time.
Yeah.
There are places that sort of introduce an element of puzzle to the actual path to getting to the boss, but, you know, those are kind of few and far between from what I've seen. So maybe that could be an improvement that existed within the game if they were like, you know, I don't want to say like add platforming elements to it or anything like that. I'm just saying like there's places where, for example, this is not really a spoiler, but there's places where there's sort of, you know, a Zelda-esque get lost in the woods. You enter a certain section and it changes to a different portion of the forest depending on which direction you go. So there's that makes that kind of another gameplay element before you actually get into another boss fight. But at the same time, you can just go there, and then once you figure out what the pattern is, then it just becomes tedious at that point. So yeah, I think it probably could have benefited from a few more variations to the pathing to the bosses, and just, you know, or if not even that, just allow the opportunity to just respawn right in front of the fight and just try it again.
That's where I would come from at it, and you know, I'm not a game designer, so I can't really say that that's better or worse solution. I think it would make the game less elegant, and that seems to be kind of an aesthetic that they were striving for with the game. But it would also make it much less frustrating, I guess. Like, dying wouldn't mean so much. Even if, like, if you died against a boss, you just respawned at the entrance of the arena of the boss that you most recently fought, and then you could run out if you wanted and go to, like, a different boss in the same hub area.
Yeah.
Like, that, even that would help out a lot, I think.
I like the level of frustration it presents in general, though. So I think, from my experience, what I've established is a pattern of very frustrated, slightly hopeful, getting encouraged, finally beating the boss. So I get in there and I see this new Titan and I have no idea what to do. So I'm just like running around desperately trying to stay alive, like hunting for any sort of weak point or element of the arena or the boss itself that I can utilize to my advantage. And not finding that and dying just for like 5 minutes, have made no progress, obviously becomes frustrating. Not saying that this is going to be everyone's experience. Maybe I'm just bad at the game, really. But there's just a lot of puzzle elements involved with a lot of the boss fights as well. But then, yeah. But then you get to the point of, oh, what did that do? Oh, whoa, realization. All of a sudden, there's a little nugget of hope. Yeah. Or a seed of hope that you're planting and hoping to sprout in a beautiful tree of success. And that just, it works really well on that level, I think, of just providing you the opportunities to alleviate your own frustration by natural game design. So I think that might be what you're alluding to as far as the overall design, where what they're focused on works really well.
Yeah.
I have no arguments that the main meat of the game is phenomenally designed. I love it. It's just, if there's a little nuance that takes me out, it's the running, and that I wish was. It's like the only thing I can think about too. Like the only negative I can think about rather is that's it. Other than that, the game is beautiful. The boss fights are elegant and fun. The one arrow mechanic works super well. Like
it really does. Yeah, it's
everything about it. And don't take that one thing I said meaning I hate the game, because I don't. I really like it.
Mechanically, it's a very pure concept. There's not a lot that muddies it, which is, I think, why I was so excited for it, because it really just hones in on one exact thing and then does it really well.
Yep.
I mean, the controls don't get in the way for the most part. I mean, maybe sometimes you're sad that you don't pull an arrow back in time or something, but that's also part of the mechanics.
Yep.
Art's beautiful. Music sounded lovely.
Feels really good when you hit that shot and the screen goes up and it
goes.
It's
real nice.
And you're like, oh, yes.
And
then you have to pull the arrow out, and you're just like, oh, it feels so good.
No, that
really
got a little sexual, but yeah.
Okay. No, it's really interesting to play it alongside of a game like Bloodborne, where you go into a boss fight and you just hit the shit out of each other for like 90 seconds. Like, and to compare that to like a boss where you're like, it doesn't matter what they look like. Like, I'm gonna hit him in the arm. I'm gonna hit him mostly in the right knee from behind.
Try and stay behind them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Get him locked into one particular animation.
Exactly. If you can do that, like, you're good. But you still, like, it's a 90-second boss fight. You're gonna heal multiple times. They might heal or do something. This is like many well-designed, deliberately designed, unique bosses that, you have to have like not your own approach, but like the approach to fight them that actually works, which is cool. And I like that it's not versatile in a way. I like that it's, you have to do things this way because it means that, there is no like only one approach works.
It's satisfying that you're solving a puzzle quite literally.
Exactly. It's basically like a puzzle game where the execution is very difficult.
To the same degree that Shadow of the Colossus, Shadow of the Colossus, I think, definitely benefited more from it, not being an isometric 2D-ish indie pixel art game. It was, it was able to fully realize it because it was in a 3D scope and the world was gigantic and it provided the opportunity to see like, oh my god, the scale of this is gigantic. But I think Shadow of the Colossus was probably at its core a puzzle game as well, because there were just like certain things you had to do. Like, take for example, I feel like I can probably spoil Shadow of the Colossus at this point.
There's spoiled, just go away for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It came out in 2005.
It's a while ago.
I only just beat it like 2 months ago.
I really want everyone to play that game,
was,
to be honest.
There's people who just watched The Sixth Sense, but you shouldn't get bent out of shape if you get it spoiled for you.
No, I'm just saying.
But the final fight in Shadow of the Colossus is pretty much just a puzzle platformer. It's, you have to scale. Well, first you have to go across this field and try to find the ways to get through it without getting your brains blasted out. It's not like an FPS.
Like, it shoots like a laser at you.
Yeah, it's like this weird ball of energy that it fires.
Knee-high walls everywhere, and you got to find the way around without getting shot.
Right. And then you get to the beast itself, and you don't actually start to hit it until you've solved the dilemma of scaling it and getting all around and finding the points at which you can, like alter it so it will adjust its arms and its body to give you access to the head. And, that alone kind of just makes it a puzzle game in and of itself. So that's what this can be accurately described as, is like a glorified puzzle game of, that requires quite a bit of skill to complete.
A dexterity-driven puzzle game.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
I will say that
genre.
On your issue, or on what you brought up of like size and scope of Shadow of the Colossus, I think Titan Souls does one of the best jobs I've ever seen in a 2D game of kind of creating or at least implying that size and scope.
Yeah, because it's so tiny.
It's the shit that bothers me when people are like, all 2D games are like simple graphically. This is a game that is like...
I had a comment today.
Exactly. You look at something like this and you're like, this is like very, very maximal like art style. Like, there are so many 3D games that look so much more simple than Titan Souls, and it's very deliberate in its art design. Not only is it like competent, whatever, as if I'm qualified to judge that, but like it does a good job of putting you in a certain mood. Like, the world is huge and you're tiny, and there's a like the way that the levels are built is designed, I feel, at least if I can put my own influence in there, to like sell that scope. Like, you're very small, the monsters are huge, basically. And they could have done it in a much simpler way, but the way that they've done it really does a good job of making you feel that you're in this vast world that, like, you don't really... It wasn't made for you or, like, by you.
Even the weapon that they've chosen to give you a single arrow, like, that is kind of a puny weapon by some accounts, but it's powerful if applied to the right place.
Yeah.
And it's all about finding the right place to apply it, which means it's more of an intellectual puzzle than a physical one.
Yeah.
I hate the implication that it would be better if it was a 3D game. I guess this is where I'm coming at.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It's a 2D game out of necessity as opposed to out of, like,
artistic decision.
Yeah.
There's also ways that, in fact, it's superior for being a 2D game, and I'm sure you could make arguments in the other direction, but the fact that the camera isn't going to be an issue, the fact that the boss fights are framed in a single shot.
Yep.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about missing things or that you're going to be facing a wall. Or
the isometric perspective is, like, it's utilized to an extreme degree a lot of the time. Like, it's necessary almost, and that probably, alludes to the idea that it was by design, like you guys mentioned. Like, they wanted to do it this way.
I had
think
a lot
that
of issues
probably...
with Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you had a lot of problems with the camera with that.
I think the game is beautiful. Period.
$15.
I think it's good. Yeah, the only complaint I have about it is a lot of the time is spent what I would describe as maybe non-productively running to the boss fight entrance. Apart from that, I don't have any complaints except that, you know, you should be aware when you are thinking of picking it up that it's not a game that's for everybody. It is a little bit on the short side, from what I've read at least, and based on the number of bosses kind of scaled against the number that I've killed and the amount of time that I've killed them. And, you know, replayability is going to vary from person to person, depending on you're the kind of person who's like, I've solved these boss puzzles, I'm never going to go back because I know it, or I'm going to speed run it.
Right.
Like, I'm going to become very, very good at it.
I talked to the developers at PAX, and they told me that there are alternate AI mechanics that take place in New Game Plus. I don't know if that is implemented, but
there's a hard mode as well, and there's like hard mode makes the bosses faster and changes their patterns somewhat, apparently. And there's a no roll mode as well,
and a no sprint mode too.
Oh, no sprint mode as well. Okay,
that seems impossible,
like
man.
It's a Limp Bizkit achievement that they added because of us.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
Clearly.
No, he told me it was.
Oh no, whatever.
That's incredible.
It's a good game though. I think it's the kind of thing that a large swath of people will think is good, and a certain narrow percentage will think is amazing. I don't think anybody's gonna hate it. I mean, if you do, that's not necessarily your fault, but you should probably know that going in.
Yeah.
Well, it's really hard. Some people just aren't into that.
Yeah,
you know that.
You should know that.
It's also not Bayonetta, where you're going to just be like smacking the shit out of a big monster.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
No.
one shot, one kill.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's not really a character action game at all.
No.
Not
It's a lot of rolling, getting out of the way.
It's like you and the boss in, like, any boss in A Link to the Past have half a heart left each. And then you just go at it,
That's
basically.
a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like
There you
that.
go.
Go at it.
Just go at everything, man.
Titan
Go at it.
Souls, $15 on Steam, available now. Recommended. I like
Yes.
And PSN as well.
And PSN.
Yep. Next on the list, we want to take a giant shit on Mortal Kombat 10.
Yeah, I hear that game works really well.
Yeah, it's really good on PC.
And I hear it's not riddled with microtransactions at all.
Best
Yo,
menu
stop
simulator
giving-
2014.
Oh my god, Mathas, you're so negative.
Stop giving positive Steam reviews to something that then say this is shitty as a joke.
Yeah.
There are people that, like, are not going to understand what you're writing. They're going to be like 10 years old and be like, I don't get it. Like, this, I don't understand the sarcasm here. And then they're going to buy it.
Here's a good indicator of how successful Mortal Kombat X has been on the PC so far. Just released today, actually yesterday, April 13th. 0 playing now.
Oh,
0.
wow.
Today's peak.
Which is not actually that there's 0 people playing it, but that it's not possible to play.
Right, yeah. It, like,
That
literally
would be
cannot be
amazing.
done. Mhm.
I will say, in contrast to the fact that it's had a botched launch, which I'm sure is going to be the focus of mostly of what we're talking about, it actually has been critically successful on the review copies, which are not PC. I think most of them are probably PS4, Xbox One.
Yeah.
But it seems like right now, if you care about Metacritic, it has an 84 on Metacritic, which is solid, like above average for sure.
I've witnessed a bit of the game being played. There were some folks streaming it on PS4 and Xbox One last night. This is obviously not, like any sort of review or anything even close to it, but I was just actually completely baffled that there's a story to Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a serious thing, yeah.
I found that out yesterday, and I was like,
Factions.
whoa.
Well, did you play the reboot from
No,
last couple
no,
years
I
ago?
didn't.
So that was they had a story, and basically what that story was it erased all of Mortal Kombat's history and restarted the universe fresh.
Retcon.
Yeah, it was retconned the shit out of it. But it was really well done. Like, it wasn't serious at all, but it was really well done. Really, the animations were great. The cutscenes were fantastic. So I'm not surprised that they're continuing that.
I'm missing something.
Yeah.
This is Mortal Kombat 10.
Mortal Kombat X.
X.
Well, okay, but the X
extreme.
means... Does the X not mean 10?
I don't know. I really don't know.
No, it's 10. It's 10.
Because
10?
Mortal Kombat... Oh, okay. Mortal Kombat in 2011 was the 9th. I thought for some reason it was called MK8. My mistake.
No, that's Mario Kart.
I was getting confused with Mario Kart. Okay.
I did that too.
Classic.
They're like the same
enough.
game.
I was like, I keep hearing MK8 all the time. Yeah. What happened to MK9? It must have sucked.
They just
Nobody
skipped
talked
right
about
by MK9, went for 10. Just like Windows.
I was gonna say it's the same thing as Windows.
So, Nick, you're the only one of us who actually has this right now.
Yeah. So my experience was reading a lot of shit about it, then starting it up and realizing that it does a streaming install. So despite having thought I installed it, it doesn't start installing it until you actually play it once. And I went to do one round of it, and it only had installed like 5 characters. So I tried to start a fight, and then it crashed. And then it started installing. And that's all I have to say.
Yo, dog, we heard you like installs.
Oh god, that's awful.
I volunteered to install it when I started installing it, but it only gets the base package and then goes from there. I'd rather it just took the whole thing in one shot.
That's what GTA 5 did,
Yeah.
and that thing was
Or give me an option.
huge.
That's
It
what
was
every
60
game
gigs.
does.
Well, yeah. True.
That's how it works.
Except
most of the
for
time.
World of Warcraft updates.
Really?
Yeah, they have a bar that says not playable, and then it can get up to
Right.
playable where you can jump in and play, but it's still installing, and then it'll let you know when it finishes installing the update.
That's
But
what
still
the
play it.
PS4 does. Is that it'll tell you that when you reach 100%, it's playable, but it's not done.
Yeah.
Then as you're playing, it installs in the background, and it's billed as a feature, but I hate it.
Right, because they don't even tell you that it's installing still sometimes, so there's just something eating up your bandwidth that you can't see.
Or
Yeah.
you get like
Never do
30
that.
minutes in, and it's just like, well, actually, okay. So I have 2 examples of it. I played Dragon Age, and I like beat the tutorial, which is like 45 minutes long, and then it was like, you can't play more after this. Like, come back when it's done. I was like, okay, and then I came back, and I had to beat the tutorial again. And I was like, that's
Aww.
really
That's
frustrating.
dumb.
And then MLB The Show took like, this is last year, not this year's version. It took like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 hours to download on a good connection, but that's Sony's servers issue, I guess. And then when I was so excited to play, and it was like, okay, you have like 1 ballpark, and you have the 2 teams that were in the World Series last year, and you can only do like play now mode until it installed, and it took like, I don't know, maybe another 3 or 4 hours on top of that to install the full game, and I guess finish downloading it. I really hate streaming installs.
Anyway, Mortal Kombat sucks.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell they were doing with
What
that.
do you think about the microtransactions thing?
Yeah.
So there's a for $1 you can buy 5 easy fatalities, or for $5 you can buy 30 easy fatalities.
Oh, dude, I totally thought that what it was is if you bought it, and it was still shitty in my head, if you bought it, it unlocked like easy fatalities mode.
Nope.
So that after you knock someone out, you could just hit like 1 button and fatality them. It's actually their
Individual use.
oh my god,
Consumables.
Yeah,
it's worst.
And I think Goro, was he a pre-order wall, like paywall?
Yeah.
You don't get him unless you pre-ordered the
So
game.
there's $30 for 4 characters. I'm not sure if Goro's included in that 4 characters, because I don't think they give you very good information of what the DLC actually includes.
Oh god.
So, like, I don't actually know how many characters are available or where you buy them.
Is it really $30 for 4 characters?
That's correct, yeah.
Dude, you flip that around, and that's almost a good value proposition.
$4 for 30
$4 for
characters.
30
Yeah.
characters.
That I can get behind, but
If it was like
Oh
a
my
Marvel
God.
vs. Capcom 2 situation.
I guess when it's a fighter, it's probably a little bit different. It's not like we're talking about
Well-
Brawlhalla or something, but
Keep in mind, the characters each have 3 different combat modes, so it's kind of like you're getting more than that, but that's a bit of a stretch to
Keep
say.
in mind as well that, the Skullgirls devs did that Kickstarter to design a new character, and
Yeah.
they asked for like $125,000 and were very transparent about why it was going to cost that much. So, I have sympathy for the fact that it's going to cost a lot to develop balanced and especially varied fighters for
Yeah.
a fighting game.
But
Yeah.
do we want to have the argument that if that content is done by launch, it should be in the fucking game? Like, do you agree? Like, you're charging $60 for the game as it is. If you're gating 4 characters for an extra
Right.
30,
Like, so for Mortal Kombat 9, what they did was they had the game out for like 6 months before they announced over the summer they're going to release a character every month.
yes, I remember that.
Ultimately,
I remember that.
culminating in freaking weird-ass Freddy Krueger being one of the
Right,
options,
Yep, yep.
which I still don't agree made any damn sense. And they did like Jason Voorhees in this one, apparently. But this time, you can just get all the characters at launch. So why wouldn't we just wait for the complete version of the game that has all
Right,
the
yeah.
characters for less?
I like the idea of a new character every month. That's kind of like, Rock Band music DLC coming
Yeah,
out.
changes
every
up
week.
the
That's kinda
meta a
cool.
little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a cool idea.
but this, is definitely
Right.
all right.
Also,
the whole,
all 4 characters are $15 for that
the
pack.
whole game is pretty goddamn focused on milking
Sucking
you.
money
out
out
for
of
money.
you.
Selling, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it's easy to be cynical about. Like, with regards to Mathas's point, like, if content is done by day one, should it be available for everybody for free and not gated, like, by a microtransaction? we all understand the realities of like a game goes gold and then you got the team sitting around for like 6 weeks. They need to do something if you're not just going to lay them off, which everyone would be obviously cynical about anyway. But at the same time, my feeling is that as a big publisher with a big franchise that's going to sell a ton of copies, why not just not give the consumers like a reason to complain? Like, I know that the companies are in the business of making money, but I think we can all agree. And I'm very DLC and like corporation tolerant in the games industry. And oftentimes when I hear people like wringing their hands over what I consider to be an inconsequential microtransaction, I'm like, oh, that's like, I can't really get behind it. This is like, we already talked about on like Roundtable 1, they have like a $90 pack. The complete edition, and then the Conquest edition for like $150, and then the Conquistador edition for like $124.
It was ridiculous then, and now it's just like it's coming to fruition. We're like, wow, yeah, this actually is kind of ridiculous.
They have those.
I like the have the game play for itself edition. $30, 30 tokens. Press a button, easy fatality.
I love the idea of an easy fatalities mode because as someone who plays Mortal Kombat casually, I suck at getting the fatalities in without fucking it up.
Free.
Exactly. And apparently there is a rumor that you can unlock them in the Conquest mode with crypt coins. Those are all with Ks, obviously. But I don't know if it's confirmed. Either way, I just want to give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit.
My understanding was that you can unlock new fatalities, not that you could get easy mode.
Okay.
I don't know either.
Sure. Yeah. Just as we're shitting on them, I want to throw in the possible caveat that all of this is meaningless and we're completely wrong.
Yeah.
But if you release a game for $60 with a $90 special edition, it doesn't work immediately when it comes out. It has a stupid streaming install that makes people very angry. There's day one DLC for $30 for 4 characters, which is not only day one DLC, but also expensive. And also, some of them are like core characters for the Mortal Kombat franchise. Like Goro is a core character in the Mortal Kombat franchise to be gated. And then you take like the main selling feature of the game, fatalities, and kind of add like a microtransaction per use, which blows my mind. That they would actually be like, are you going to pay 20 cents off fatality?
Easy fatality. Or you can still do it normally.
If this was a free-to-play game, they could get away with some of this stuff. It's not.
No, it's a premium price.
It's a premium price game with really expensive other versions.
You know what's telling is we've probably been talking about this game for about 10 minutes. We haven't talked about the gameplay at all.
I haven't been able to play it.
I was going to say, I'm sure we could if we could play it, but...
No, there's so much wrong just before you even get into the game itself, which actually looks like it's pretty fun. But
I played it at Fan Expo, and I liked it, and I'd consider picking it up. I'm never going to be a good Mortal Kombat player, but I'd consider picking it up for the story to experience like the batshit craziness of fucking Outworld or whatever it's called.
It's totally fucking ridiculous. But God, there's just so much wrong with it already.
I'm so torn because I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. I've been since the first one, and I've never missed one. But this is like too far.
Blame the publisher. Here? I don't necessarily blame NetherRealm, but I blame the publisher on this one. PR, like, we could be talking about how the fact that the game is being well received right now, but instead there's 100 things that are just like, wow, that like they're all kind of shitty, and then you put them all together and you're like, that's
a big old pile of shit.
Yeah, compare this to something, and I know this is like a big like Paradox City Skylines circle jerk, but compare that to City Skylines where they're like, okay, it's SimCity, but we fixed all the problems that everybody complained about with it, and it's half the price, and it works, and we let people get copies of the game early to show it off just so you could like determine whether or not you actually did want to buy it.
1 million copies sold.
And it just cost 1 million copies sold today. And Mortal Kombat 10 will outsell that. But at the same time, they also need to sell way more than that to actually
make their money
pay
back
for itself.
Yeah, exactly.
But man, dog, easy fatalities. 20 cents a pop. I had no idea. At first I was like, that's scummy to gate it. $5 for easy fatalities. Just add it as a mode in the game. For the 9-year-olds playing Mortal Kombat 10. Who might not be able to pull off the
There should be like a precedent of you have to be at least older than the installment number in the series of Mortal Kombat to actually have to play the game.
That game is real violent. Like,
so if you were playing like Mortal Kombat 4, you would only have to be 4 years old.
Then you're fine because like it's dated to the point where, okay, you know what? You see that shit and I'm all right with that.
Bad anymore.
Yeah. But that's actually kind of what I wanted to talk about with this game too is it makes me uncomfortable, man. It really does. Yeah. there's shit in this game that I feel like I've got a decently high tolerance for ultra-violence and the like, but God, it makes an effort
They try to push
to
your
make
buttons.
you uncomfortable, yeah.
They try to push your buttons clearly when one of the X-ray moves is getting punched in the crotch and watching your balls explode.
Yeah, exactly. There's
Like,
stuff that's like,
I like it.
you
I do
watch
too.
your spine shatter, you watch your eyeballs be pierced by blades. And
Yeah, and then you get up and keep fighting. you know?
yeah, exactly. Oh, well, I'll brush that off. No fucking problem.
When we were playing at the expo, I was playing against Kate, and the guy was like, press both triggers at the same time, and I did it, and then I was Sub-Zero, and I like picked her up and stuck my hand in, it like froze her small intestine, and then just shattered it. And she took like 20% damage. She just got up and was like, all right.
Here's the thing. What they should have done was for $20, they should have locked away a mode that is like real damage. So if you break your small intestine, like
$20.
you just suffered to death.
Without
on
a
the ground.
digestive tract. Well, all right, fight's over, man.
Like they just break your spine. Like okay, dead. It's the end of the game.
You want to make it free to play, you know, or maybe you don't. You want the best of both worlds, but just make it free to play. Killer Instinct is free to play on Xbox One. The characters are expensive, but the game itself is free. So,
Well, it's not free to play though, because like you can play it, but it's a demo, right? You have to buy characters for there to be a real game. Free to play implies there's a game to play first.
I don't know. I mean, without being demos, I kind of think that Killer Instinct is free to play.
Killer Instinct comes with a character, and it
Comes with
rotates.
Jago, or no, they changed it every month or
They
something.
changed it every month.
They do it like League of Legends does.
Yeah. And you can play it online. I kind of think, and I'm not saying that constitutes being a big game for free to play. It's not like Dota, but I don't know. I'd rather they do that than, and they do it the right way, which is like you can also buy just the entire package for like the cost of a normal game.
I think it's cheaper, isn't it? Isn't it like 30?
It might be at this point, yeah. But like you can't have the most cynical part of both worlds, I think, without engendering like a lot of negativity and cynicism.
Yeah.
Like, would Mortal Kombat have had any problem making money, or is it just that they're like, this is our flagship, we can make a ton of money on it?
We're going to push the limits of goodwill and see where the breaking point is, and I feel like that's pushed that.
I would agree. I think
Is
they've
that
gone
ever
over
a good idea?
Yeah, but companies
route?
do it all the time. They just want to find out where the line is. That's like the ultimate capitalist ideal, right?
I
You
guess.
can say that's what
Find the
happened.
line.
You can say that's what happened with SimCity, couldn't you?
Maybe.
They pushed it a lot just to see what the line was, and it
I don't know if they were even pushing it. I think they thought they had good ideas. I think with this instance, it's a very clear example of, we know you won't like this, but we're going to do it anyway and see if you buy it.
There's no way that they could have had a meeting and been like, people will think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
There's no spin for it either.
There's no way. Like,
You can't sell this. No, there's like, all there is press releases to inform people that it's a thing.
I was gonna say, was this even a known thing until it launched?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Surprise!
Like with the collector's editions and there being like different products for each one, I can get down with that because it's like you have the choice, and I'm not gonna feel like I'm missing out not having a. You can't buy like a $60 disc copy of a game and be like, I want the Scorpion statue too, though, right? Like that's clearly something that's optional to pay for, as is the DLC. But it starts to get a little scummy, I think. Like I can't get over the easy fatalities thing, man.
Yeah, it's
like
fucking
that seems,
crazy.
If I, and this is this perfect world, like what if money didn't exist? But like if I was in the boardroom and they were like, what if we had easy fatalities? I'd be like, that's an awesome idea to make our game more accessible for people that maybe have not been playing Mortal Kombat or fighting games at all for a long time. And
Cool,
like,
we'll charge them for it.
Yeah.
All right. Next case.
That's a reasonable price. 20 cents a pop.
Well, you know what they're leveraging, though, is the idea that you'll want to show off to your friends online and go, look at me, I can do the fatality, because I'm going to bet you that the person on the other end doesn't know they did an easy fatality.
Yeah.
Right?
It's going to
So,
show
like,
up with a little notifier on the top. It's going to be like a little baby face on either side. Easy fatality. Do they have the babalities, or is that...
insulting.
Yeah.
You're insulting someone for paying money, which they wouldn't want to do. You want to encourage that.
Well,
There should be like super fucking badass fatalities.
like extreme inputs.
It should be shitty fatalities for free, and then 20 cents for the extreme fatalities. So the normal fatality, you just be like, you punch them and they die. And then extreme fatality, you're gonna like fucking get inside their brain and mind control them and have them, smoke every day for 80 years and then die in the hospital with all their family around them.
Oh, God, I want that so
It's going to be
bad
fucking
now.
hardcore realities. 20 cents right there.
You need to stop, man. You're giving these people great ideas.
It's not even that far out of the realm of possibility for how insane they want the brutalities and fatalities to be. They'd probably like smash that dude's family pet in front of him.
Oh, yeah, and then
Like, rip his head off.
after he died, like, Goro would just blow up the hospital. Like, erase his bloodline.
You don't get Goro unless you pre-order, though.
Right, you got to pre-order to get Goro.
All right, Warner Brothers, listen. We know we've been shitting on you for the past 20 minutes or so, but listen, like, if you don't take that idea and roll with it, what are you even listening to
We're just
here?
disappointed.
Come on.
Give
Mortal
people something
Kombat.
to be happy about.
Right? Like, it's like...
Probably a great game mechanically under all this shit, which is
Exactly.
the only reason that I wanted to even get involved.
Yeah.
Stop
Well, I like
fighting
the
against yourself.
The relaunch from a few years ago was a really solid game, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I won't touch this thing, not for a while.
I might pick up Mortal Kombat X or Mortal Kombat 10, whatever, and that might make me part of the problem. But there's no way I'm picking it up at launch for sure now.
I'm part of the problem, but I feel bad about it.
I mean, I don't think you have to feel bad until you buy the DLC.
Didn't do that.
If you don't want the DLC and you buy the DLC, then you feel bad.
Well, that's when you just wait for Mortal Kombat Complete.
Yeah, but then you're going to be so far behind the skill curve.
I'm not worried about
When
it.
Jason Voorhees comes out, you're gonna have no idea what to do.
He's going to be like the Minotaur Brawlhalla, man. He's going to change the game
Might be out
altogether.
now.
Like, games have good games can have botched launches. Like, if you separate all the issues individually, I don't think you're a bad person or like a bad consumer for buying Mortal Kombat X just because it didn't work on launch day. That happens from time to time. But if you hate day one DLC and you bought a bunch of day one DLC, you're part of your own problem. You're causing your own stress.
I feel like you got to be at least self-aware enough to realize that's an issue. If
I hope
somebody-
that there's not people that are like, day one DLC is the scourge of the industry. As they open their wallet, and they're like, I wish I didn't have to do this.
Throwing money.
Well, the idea is they want to make a case so compelling that you almost feel you have no option other than to get the whole game by buying all the DLC.
I don't understand that being that compelled or feeling that compelled
For
to that.
characters, though, is the
There-
only way.
If Ed released the Binding of Isaac Rebirth and was like, there's like 5 core characters and the rest you have to pay for, I'd be like, I'm never touching those characters. It wouldn't even be like an act of defiance. It would actually just be like, those don't exist to me. Like, because I don't need to buy them. But I guess there's some people who are so into the lore that they're okay with being exploited, or if not okay, they're still okay to like finance their own
It's like
exploitation.
begrudgingly, or like, I really want to see the whole scope of what you meant for me to play, right? So I'll just pay whatever it
I'm
takes.
trying to actually understand it from that perspective now, and I feel like this is maybe an extreme example, but if you were to take the Halo franchise, like Halo 5 is being released soon, and you put Sergeant Johnson behind a paywall, it's like, maybe that's kind of the degree people are comparing this to, as far as, limiting access to characters that may be seen as an integral part of whatever storyline that's been concocted.
As soon as a character that's an integral part of the storyline is behind a paywall, you should just tune out. As far as if it's the kind of thing that bothers you, you should just tune out.
Yeah.
Like, if they did that I'm trying to think of a game that I played and I really enjoyed the story of. I don't know. If they
Dragon Age
had-
Inquisition.
Yeah, well, Dragon Age, I don't know the names of the characters anymore. It's all like freaking Farngarth and stuff like that. If in like Shadows of Mordor has like Gollum missions. If they had put paywalls on those Gollum missions, I would have been like, those are clearly not worth paying for, because if they were great, they would just be in the game to make it a better game, is kind of the reasoning I usually have about it. Like, if they locked Sergeant, whatever his name is, behind a paywall,
Johnson.
I'd be like, well, clearly you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, oh, Metacritic, we got to make our game good so reviewers give it a good score so we get the financial bonuses. And then, like, well, we're going to put the best content behind this paywall, though.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's great, they would just have it in there.
Yeah.
DLCs
Again, that's probably just an extreme example, but really it's a matter of, I guess, how important these people are to
This approach
the
is
fans
that
of the
ex-
franchise. Yeah.
There's a
It's
difference. If you're introducing a new character, I think it's okay to charge for them sometimes, if it's reasonable. If you have, like, that seems like you're building a fan base for that character. If you're taking a core part of the franchise and putting it behind a paywall, it's like you're trading goodwill for money at that point. Like, it's actually, you're eroding goodwill to get money, which you don't have to do if you make a good game and It sells well, and it already has a reputation. It's not like you're building an audience for Mortal Kombat from scratch. You don't need to nickel and dime someone like they're playing Puzzles and Dragons or something.
Yeah.
Right, it does kind of demonstrate like a lack of faith in the product that they don't really think people would be interested. Right? It's just like, come on, we want this thing already. What are you doing?
Just put this out for $60, no strings attached.
Feels
Everyone's
gross.
happy.
It just feels gross, like
Yeah.
gross business practices.
What do you want? Do you want money or do you want people to like your stuff so you'll buy more of it later?
No, money, obviously.
But they want both.
No, they want
Yeah.
money.
Gunnar,
Fuck people. Mortal Kombat 10. $59.99 on Steam. You can get the premium edition, quote unquote, the complete pack for $89.99 as well. Don't buy it on Steam yet, unless the issues have been fixed. But also
Apparently, it's pretty good.
yeah.
I mean,
If you can play it, I hear it's pretty enjoyable. So
I'm not saying don't buy it on principle.
More power to
Apparently,
you.
it's all right.
And finally, as far as the games list is concerned today, GTA 5 was just released on the PC. And,
2 years later.
Yeah. Wait, how long has it been?
It's
2
been like
years.
15 months.
Oh, okay.
Has it?
Yeah, it came out in November of 2013.
Feels like a while.
Yeah.
Been a long time. But it's actually okay, we're going to flip to the other side of the coin here. The GTA 5 port to the PC. Exquisite. Very, very good.
Really good.
Really
there
good.
are a ton of options.
All
as
the
far as
options. Maybe the
graphics.
most I've ever seen.
And from it, for me, I automatically load up on like highest or like one of the very high settings, and I just let it go on that, and it's been 60 frames plus the whole time so far. So it's been, it works, which is kind of funny because most Rockstar PC ports are shit.
Yeah, and they delayed this a lot.
Yeah, they did
and
delay it.
for good reason. And we're really glad to see, like, this is why games are delayed, to make
Yeah.
sure that they are fully functional. Like, there was one minor issue, I think, with the patch on launch, but other than that, I mean, that's just kind of expected these days. There's no way to actually properly test it for millions of people to download the game at the same time. There's going to be issues in that regard, but I think this is probably one of the best ports to come from Rockstar for sure. They
ever.
yeah,
Yeah.
made
I think
good thing
this
here.
review on Steam really sums it up.
Oh, here
Alright.
we
What's it
go.
all about?
Fucking Christ.
Started the game at 4 a.m. just to see if it would run well on my rig. Played the game for 20 minutes before deciding to save and quit to head off to bed, but when returning to Franklin's home, I decided, for some reason, to see if it's possible to hang on the couch, which wasn't only possible, I could even get high and watch some TV. Spent an hour hidden in that joint while talking to myself until I realized it was almost 6 in the morning. Went to Franklin's bed to save and quit the game, only to proceed to do exactly what I just did step by step without realizing it at first. The future is here, fellow stoners. Never has a game been so true to life. 10 out of 10. Finally a game that lets me hang on the couch and smoke a joint while talking to myself while I hang on the couch and
Yes!
smoke a joint talking to myself.
About time. Oh man.
That was
A pretty dank review.
that was a thumbs up review.
Grand
That-
Auto.
There's a lot of great things in there
Dank Theft Auto.
because I couldn't tell when he was talking about the game and when he was talking about real life, and I guess that's what's the point.
It blurs the line between reality and
I mean, like, I find myself committing insurance fraud and stealing cars on the highway, and all of a sudden I'm like, am I in real life or am I playing GTA right now? This
Yeah.
is such a weird coincidence.
really hard to tell.
The number one comment on that review, nice.
Nice.
It's like I read it through and I agree.
This is what I've been looking for this whole time. Only 2 people found that review funny.
Oh yeah, you found it.
We've all played GTA pretty extensively at some point, right?
Yeah.
I played GTA 5, the entire story on PS3.
PS3. I played a little more than halfway through on the PS3 as well. One thing I'm really liking, which is kind of weird, is the first-person mode in GTA 5.
Yeah.
It works really well, and it's kind of cool to be able to run around this huge open world in first person. It does a really good job at just kind of being immersive, and I like
It's
it a lot.
not just like they just moved the camera. Like
No,
they
it's not,
really
yeah.
redesigned the whole game around the idea of first person, with the exception of the roller coaster.
I
Does
did
that look
not,
really
not
bad?
done that, so I've not done that.
It doesn't really work.
Oh.
I'm really, really disappointed. The first thing I want to do is like, I need to ride this roller coaster in first person, and then it kept moving the camera around behind me. I'm like, I just want to look from the. You get the idea.
That's what modding's going to be all for, man.
Fine, it's really good.
Oh my god, there are 300,000 people playing this right now.
Yeah, it's actually huge.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like the hugest.
Yeah, the hugeliest. But the in-game video editor is actually kind of crazy too. People have already put out some pretty amazing stuff, including a 30-second clip of a man kicking and stomping on a cat. So,
yeah, I saw that.
Oh, come on.
That's great. And
I saw a clip of some guy running. He spooked a cat who was just chilling on the side, and it ran into the road, and the car came flying and hit the cat.
Jesus.
Okay, I want to mod that part out.
Yeah.
Game's so realistic that the driver never forgave themselves and spiraled into a deep depression. I don't think, like, GTA 5, the story mode at least, is not really one of my favorite games of all time. And there were times of the story where I was just like, I hate all these people. And I know that that's the point, but I, like, really, really hate them, and I hate that I'm doing this stuff. Not because it's, like, morally distasteful. I was just like, you're just annoying. But it is, like, probably the most well-built and designed sandbox that I've ever seen.
There's so much. There's so
on
much
the PS3 even, it occasionally got a little framey, and it ran at 30 at best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But loading times were not bad, and it looked pretty impressive. I mean, it looked really impressive for that generation of hardware, at least.
Oh, yeah.
And there was just, like Bear says, there's just so much shit that you can do. So I'm glad that the PC version's out, and I don't intend on playing the story again, but I would definitely do some sandboxy stuff and just muck about.
Just race jets around.
Yeah, last night, me and Rob, Alpaca Patrol, we played for a good 4 hours in online mode. It was a little difficult getting set up with that because we didn't understand the interface, which I have to say is pretty spotty. But once we sorted it out and figured it out, like, we had a really good time racing jets and dirt bikes and bicycles and anything you could think of. And this is a really full-featured online mode that they've been really adding stuff to since the inception of the game originally. So I think there's a good, like, year's worth of content we could get out of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally down. And again, because it's on PC and it's going to be moddable, there's going to be so much shit you can just do.
So beautiful.
It is
so
it
freaking
really,
pretty. Oh my god.
Like, I played on the PS3 and I thought it was really good looking, but it looks like, again, it's just it's hardware. Like, if you have a computer that can do it, it is a beautiful game, and it is so much fun.
The draw distance is nuts,
and it's so much fun to just explore in first person. Like, that's what I find myself doing. I'm just walking around in first person and just kind of enjoying this goofy simulated city, and I love it. It's so much fun.
My favorite feature in GTA 5 was the button that just basically removed all of your muscle tension. So you could be like running and jump, and then you just press the button, and your dude's like,
Very goofball goals of you to say that, yeah.
Yeah, you could just, like, run and then jump into a wall and hit the, like, remove all muscles from my body button. They'd be like, oh, what the fuck? My problem with the game is not its sandboxy nature at all. It's the weird story thing of, like, I can't they have, like, one character that they like they try to make sympathizable, but he still murders it's the Aiden Pierce thing from Watch Dogs.
Right,
he murders like 1,000 people, and then he's like, I just want to get out of this, shitty situation I'm in. I'm like, you're a mass murderer. You're like the worst murderer in United States history.
Well, the opening of the game, you murder like 30 fucking cops.
Yeah. Spoiler, jeez.
They try to juxtapose that dude with another dude that's way crazier to make him seem less crazy, which I just find is silly because they're all just nuts.
That's like the old lady swallow the fly technique of approachable characters in GTA.
The best character in GTA 5 is still the worst person to ever exist.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they kind of play it off in a way that, like, in the best moments of their writing, you laugh through it all, even though it's like, what are you doing? You're crazy.
It is self-aware, but the few times it tries for some kind of, like, I just want upward mobility or something like that, or I'm just trying to do this for whatever reason, you're like, I can't sympathize with you. If you got the worst two diseases at the same time, it would be like 1/10 of what you deserved for doing stuff to people. So whenever like, my wife's being a bitch, you're like, I don't care. I can't care less.
This is
you got to turn your brain off a little.
Yeah. So this is more or less a PSA to let everyone know that the GTA 5 PC port is very, very good, and obviously GTA 5's been out for a while. You're probably aware. It's great. So
It's it's an extraordinarily well-made game.
yeah,
Yes.
$60 on Steam, available right now. Grand Theft Auto 5. Go feel bad about yourself and have fun doing it.
Hell yeah.
And that is all of our games. It's time now to move into the segment that we all know and love and know.
You're contractually obliged to introduce that
I am
segment
contractually
there.
obliged to introduce to you, my friends. It's Nick's Weird Games.
Contractually obliged to introduce it to you.
Whoa, what was that?
What's
The
your
one guy
deal?
wants us to do impressions, right?
Oh, yeah, okay, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Is that your impression of me doing a sarcastic impression of me?
Whoever it could be.
All
I'm
right.
not feeling very clever right now. So I think I'm going to go get a game.
I like
Guys,
that option, yeah.
Well,
Well,
like sing a song or
let's
something.
think about like how about like a gospel version of the Nick's Weird
Oh, I
Games theme
can't
song?
do that, man.
Oh no, okay.
There is no way that I can do a gospel.
Can you do like a Dr. Dre rap version?
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
out of time.
With so much drama on Roundtable PC, it's kind of hard being Nick's Weird Games, you see. So somehow, some way, he keeps coming up with funky ass games like Fortnite Lay. May bring a little something to the PC.
What the hell was that?
They get better every time.
They do.
Oh
They
my
just get
God.
amazing.
One day I'm
so
gonna run
great.
out of juice. I don't know what it's gonna be though.
I
We'll
guess.
see who breaks first, me or you.
You got a lot. You got a big shelf back
I
there.
have a lot of games.
Ugh.
It's gonna be you. I'm sorry. We're gonna have a great clip reel.
Especially if this becomes a weekly thing, you're fucked.
Yeah,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
yeah, that will be bonus.
There's not that many genres of music. We're gonna have doing like some math rock.
We're honestly, we're terrified of the prospect of it becoming a weekly show because then we're going to run out of content really quick.
A lot more BSing to come if that
Yeah,
happens.
no, we're fucking with you. Patreon.com/roundtable. Help get us there. It'd be awesome.
If you like RBS, who knows? You want to see a weird game?
Yeah.
Sure. What do we got?
I'm gonna guess you probably heard of this one. I'm gonna guess you probably haven't played it though. Here we go.
I'm ready.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a classic. Absolutely.
Who
Classic
here
cult
does
classic.
not know about Seaman?
I think we all
Anybody?
I think we all do. Yeah,
Oh,
I
no.
think it's this is a genre-defining hit, man. What are you talking about here? This is
I've been
a
waiting
game
for
the
them
ages.
to buy this and do the royalties. For it to be on
Absolutely. I would play the
This
hell
is
out
a
of this.
DS game right here.
Yeah. All right.
Leonard Nimoy, right? Voiced?
What?
I'm pretty sure.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is Caution C, man. It's on the
it
Dreamcast.
is,
I
yeah.
can see myself. Hi.
Oh, there's it. There's a
There we
bear.
are. Ah, there. So why don't you tell folks who may not be familiar what this one is?
So this is a life simulation game around a tadpole that grows up to be a snarky-ass, sarcastic fish that hates you.
Hmm?
So every day, it runs on a real-time clock, sort of like Animal Crossing. You come back and you say hi to this thing. It learns your voice because you're talking into a microphone. And eventually, it learns things about you, and it learns the words you like and the preferences you have, and it uses those things to insult you. That's the whole game.
Yep.
That's all you do. It grows up, it gets old, and it hates you even more as it gets older.
Wow.
Did they have a trailer for this that was like voiced by Gilbert Gottfried or something? Or am I losing my mind?
The
I think
guy
you might
looks a
be
little
insane.
like him, actually.
I think that might be it.
You should
We don't need
totally
to
not
remake this
reflect
game.
our Skype names on the case here, by the
Oh.
way.
No, those aren't them. I changed them.
Oh, cool.
I renamed you guys. So I should read the back here because it's pretty good. So recreate the experiments of scientist Jean-Paul Gasset. Now that you've obtained your own Seaman egg, use the faithful recreation of Dr. Gasset's laboratory to follow in his footsteps, uncovering the secrets of the Seaman. When the Seaman egg hatches, his adventure begins. Solve Gasset's puzzles and set Seaman free. Seaman watches you from inside the TV. He reacts to your voice and understands all that you say. Seaman loves a good conversation. His wisecracks and salty wisdom, that's actually the word it uses, will make you laugh. Share your life with the captive Seaman and take good care of him. If you neglect him, you'll get an earful of attitude. Encourage his growth and evolution and solve the puzzles hidden in the vivarium to release Seaman to dry land and to his ultimate destiny.
That got
There's
poetic
more
for
of
a
it.
second there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
That game's already been remade. It's called the YouTube comment section.
Oh, got him.
God.
Right on in there. It's Caution C, man. I like that one. That's a weird game for the ages, man. I think.
Yeah.
I think if you're not familiar with this based on the description we gave you, Google Caution C, man, and you'll.
It's just Seaman, isn't it? The
Wait, what?
caution's just like a weird tag on
It's
the...
just called C, man. Okay, but just like Google that, you'll probably recognize it just based on the first set of Google images. Like I think a lot of people are not aware of what it is until they're like, oh yeah, that weird shit.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Its potential hasn't even caught up yet. Like, a lot of people are going to eventually realize how much they wish this game was current, and then it's eventually going to be released somehow, and then they're going to get into it.
I hope so. I'd buy it.
Indeed.
Me too.
Super fun.
That's it for episode 6 of the Roundtable Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for joining us.
Fucking here.
We want to remind you, luck is a skill you have to earn or learn, depending on whether or not I remember what the phrase is. Also, we want to thank
Pick that bullet.
our Patreon supporters for this fortnightly period that include Max Pillin, Christopher Flagg, Cataby, Casey, EP Diablo, Alexander Spillman, Jonathan Graham, Jeff Rush, Robert, David Bradley, Matt, Julian Avelsgaard, Hired Help, Caspian Crawdad, Kevin Berkland, Caspian Crawdad. Again, we want to give a big shout out for helping us with the Tournament of Shame stuff.
Yes.
Big ups to you there.
Thank you.
Connor Littlewood, Rumble Muffin, my freaking favorite person of all time, Rumble Muffin for the last couple weeks. Maximilian Messerschmidt, Smurfette, Logan Ray, Ignacio, Full-Grown Gaming, Christopher Cool, Vidal Vander Kooi.
Good one.
Butchered it. Hunter DeLacy, Brandon Bennett, Dan OIC Mudkips, Simon Irjala, Kyle Florence, Gibonis, Christopher Farmer, Garju, Batman 9502, Kaj, Star Copper, Eroticals, Vandervet, Laurel Elise, Grace Card, Peter R. Thomas Cashman, Michael Gilbert, Zachary A. Unix 388, Sebastian Iorga, John Morrison, Michael Gray, Justin Positron, Brizzle Brip, Morton Anderson, Saints City Riot, Scott Cullen. I gotta spice it up a little bit every now and then, right?
Yeah, it works.
Urban J, Muskif DP, Jesse Warburton, Chris Hauer, Pile of Bunnies, Solon Carter, Modest Ponin, Dragon Slayer, Doppelganger, Rhiannon, J. Kyle Pittman, Fred Durst. It's good to know he's finally standing behind us.
He loves us.
A Yellow Forklift, Michael Schwader, Andreas Dimebacher, Doylam, Suicide Prinny, Zmod, Wolves at My Door, Jeremy Tynes, Eric Heinrichs, Dylan KG, Tobias Klaus, Salty Onion, Chris Ramakel, Grimbo, Andrew, James Smith, Chris Brunch, Grammy Allerton, Will Bailey, Jay Medali, Kelferter, Sam B, Chrisman95, Titan, Luke Chen, JH, Paul, Nathan Wood, Rusty Hole, Constantinos, Shelly Donis, Donut Overlord, Jose Estrada, Benjamin Mickelson, Jordan Yorandi Poor, Sebastian Mon Barsalo, Cooper Winans, Mervyn
All right, I guess we're not going to do this for now
Ian
on.
Davis, The Cock, Julian W, Lucas Seidling, Dudoc22, Jack McAllister, Jack Akar, Doug Rivet, Hammerschnitz, Tom Reese, Hugh Perry, Big D Docking Dude, and Connor Sherlock. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Big old
Did
list
that
of
dance
folks.
for you.
If you want to support us, even the littlest tiny bit helps. Head over to roundtable.com, or sorry, patreon.com/roundtable. Roundtable.com is not a thing. Don't go there. It's probably a thing, but it's not us.
It's not our thing. In fact, I'm going to go check it right now.
We'll be back in, I want to say it's in, no, it's not going to be in May. It's going to be, I know it is going to be May. May 1st. May 1st will be the next show.
Oh,
If you-
shit! The day before my birthday.
What? Oh my goodness, we're going to have to do nothing about that. If you also want to
Everybody
follow
has
us.
a birthday at some point.
You
If
get
you didn't
Mathas
know-
fired on his birthday.
There you go. That's a good option. That'd be the best present ever. Also, if you didn't know, we're doing the regular Roundtable Podcast broadcasts, which are when we get together, and you can now be a part of that if you want to be involved. Check your Patreon inbox if you're a current supporter, but if you are pledging at the $10 tier or higher, you are getting invites to our Steam group, and you're also qualified as potential candidates to come hang out with us and play with us during those Roundtable Podcast broadcasts on twitch.tv/roundtablepodcast. Follow us on Twitter at RoundtablePC. You can email us if you'd like at roundtableyt. It's roundtableyt@gmail.com. And I think that's it.
iTunes.
iTunes, yes. iTunes. Don't review the show, actually, because I found that that doesn't help at all, but rate us 5 stars. That's a good thing. So
Oh, okay.
you can review it if you want. We'll read it, and we like them.
I like reading them.
Yeah, so those are good,
Makes me
but
happy.
does
I was gonna
nothing...
say, fuck Mathas.
If you want to go on iTunes, rate us 5 stars, and in your review, just put "fuck Mathis." Please,
Or
just
Mathas is a fuck boy. That's a new one that's
en masse.
been
There you
happening a
go.
lot.
Either one. En masse, do that. We would be very happy with that. And I believe that is everything. So, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back May 1st. We'll be live on twitch.tv/roundtablepodcast. on the 21st of April. We'll see you then.
Later.
Bye. This podcast is entirely listener-supported. To consider making any sort of contribution, large or small, visit patreon.com/roundtable.